I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Tito Santana.
This is Kurt Angle.
This is Bret the Hitman Hart, and this is going out to Scott and Holly.
You are listening to the
Win Twice Wrestling Podcast
with Scott and Holly.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
And this ho's for everybody. Ho!
Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to listen to the incomparable Win Twice Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Scott and Holly. We always go over, brother, and that's the bottom line. Dig it? So sit back, relax, and prepare to be entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 65 of the Win Twice Wrestling Podcast alongside your hosts Scott and Holly.
Hello.
You look really happy, Holly.
Thank you.
Has it been a good week of work so far?
Yeah, it's been great.
Wouldn't know, I'm on annual leave.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I felt like it was my turn given, everyone else in my little section of the work that we do had a week off, then someone else had a week off, then so I felt like it felt right. It felt
Fair.
And also I haven't mentioned anything, but I've actually just booked off a couple of holidays with it being payday and all for later in the year. But
How bougie of you.
well, I know, right? Sorry, I'm going 50-50, so it's fine. I haven't splashed it out myself, and to be fair, the times I picked are when it's cheaper, so more looking forward to that than you can imagine already, and I haven't even gone back to work yet. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We talk about a lot. No, not on this occasion. Not on this occasion. But we're here to talk about the graps, the wrestling. The wrestling. Yeah, it's that time of the week for us where we, having reviewed a show, sit down, discuss it, say what we think about it. Mm-hmm. And Holly, this one was actually put forth, wasn't it?
It was
By the community at large.
Yeah.
This show. So I'll have to read the email out that came before we get to the actual show, so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about and the reasons why they wanted this show to be put forth for dissection, which I purposefully didn't share with you.
Yes, I did notice.
Up until after you wouldn't have retained the information, let's be fair.
No.
That's not the point though, is it? It's not the point. So we're back right after having covered off by our own choosing an In Your House show, the very first one, premiere, which
Cherry,
yeah, exactly, that cherry was well and truly popped. We now go back to another In Your House, except we skip about 3 years forward. No, not quite 3 years, but 2 and a bit years forward in the chronology.
That's okay.
There was enough time elapsed between the two.
Yes, there was, yes.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll be interested because we haven't discussed anything about this show.
No, nothing.
Because we haven't really had the opportunity to. Since I've watched it and you've watched it, I don't think we've actually seen each other, to be fair. So you know what the In Your House vibe and aesthetics are like.
Yes.
Okay. So you saw how it looked in 95. Did you expect much to have changed between the premiere episode and Canadian Stampede?
I mean, I'd hoped maybe it'd be a little bit more, it would look a little bit more modern, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the house was still there.
Yeah, well, of course.
Obviously.
It's in your house, but you're keeping your cards close to your chest, I notice. So this was put forward by a listener called Keith. You might be familiar with his work, Holly. And actually, if you kill a little bit of time for me, I'll actually be able to go and, well, if you could. I'll be... Well, okay. But I'm going to dead air it now.
What do you want me to talk about?
Whatever. Preferably about wrestling would be helpful. You've got nothing, have you?
No,
absolutely nothing.
Can't just spring it on me to talk about something.
Well, fortunately, that filibustering was enough time for me to get to the email.
God.
That was amazing.
Oh, don't ever let me do solo stuff ever.
I'll leave that one for later. Thank you very much. So I'll read the email. So, dear Scott and Holly, I have another show request. WWF In Your House 16 Canadian Stampede. This show was one of the highlights of the Canada versus US feud of 1997. That feud and Bret Hart's compelling heel turn was one of my favourites of the time, I think that means. The 10-man main events had great crowd heat, drama and action. I like how everyone in it was kept strong, and it was another big step in Stone Cold's anti-hero character getting over strong. The undercard was also solid, with a Choice Lights heavyweight title match adding variety to lineup. Hunter Hearst Helmsley vs Mankind was typically solid too. It gets overlooked the role Foley played in making Triple H a star. Agree. Less is more on this show, just 4 matches, but each one had its place, with only the WWF title match dropping the quality. Great show as always. Best wishes, Keith.
Lovely.
So that was what was put forward. And
Very nicely written email.
I thought so as well.
Yeah.
I agree with him on the point about Mick Foley. I don't know if I'd say it was undervalued in terms of how much he made him, because we saw at Royal Rumble 2000 where he had obviously that match, and to me that cemented Triple H as being at that level.
Yeah.
They also had an infamous Hell in a Cell match. I think that was the following month on pay-per-view, which we haven't yet reviewed as part of this show. So I think it's appreciated, but I think Mick Foley's best work is at making others look great.
Yeah.
Not that he doesn't do well himself, but he really knows how to do the right stuff to make his opponent look like $1 million. So yeah, I mean, it would be interesting when we get to that match.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not a spoiler alert because you've seen the show, to see exactly what you think.
Really?
I know. If you're like, oh shit, what did I watch? Because we haven't actually confirmed yet to see if any of the details
No,
on the
that's
show tied
true.
up. So there's always
Thankfully,
that risk.
this had a name. It wasn't just like a number, so I knew. I was like, yeah, this is the one.
Yep, very much. So yeah, that is the show that we'll be doing the deep dive for. So this show took place, the show being WWF In Your House 16 Canadian Stampede, took place on the 6th of July 1997. The venue was the Canadian Airlines Saddle Dome in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Attendance on the night was 12,151 and the pay-per-view buy rate was 165,000. Not too outside of the realms of what they were getting for the In Your House shows. You've yawned already, Holly, but hold your yawns for a couple more moments because I'm going to give you a little bit of background on Stampede Wrestling.
Yes, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So before I do that,
Oh, no.
you're going to solo talk about it for 20 minutes. Go.
Stop it.
No, so...
I've had a long day. Come on,
I
be
bet
nice.
you have. So, what do you know? Okay. What do you know? Nothing.
I don't think I do I?
I don't know. That's exactly...
don't know.
Genuine question. So, have you ever heard of Stampede Wrestling?
Maybe.
Okay. I feel like I'll mention a few bits and you'll start nodding.
I have, but I can't remember.
But you don't know why
No.
it's so important to Calgary in general. Okay, fine.
Something to do with horses.
Okay. Take with that. I don't know what actually just happened there. Something to do with horses. Yep.
Stampede, right? Horses? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, Jumanji. Yep. So
I'm going to shut up.
here's the background on Stampede. Do you know what? Of all the things I thought she was going to say, horses was not what I thought was going to come out of her mouth. I'll be honest with you.
I'll shut up.
No, that's great. Please keep... If you're going to come out with stuff like horses, keep it flowing. So this is from Kayfabe Memories. And it's the background on Stampede Wrestling for you. So I thought it'd help give a bit of context.
Please do.
No horses. I'll be honest with you.
Gutted.
So over the years, thousands of promotions have come and gone. Some promotions leave an unparalleled mark in the world of professional wrestling, and some fade without ever having a trickle of effect. Without ever having a trickle of effect, I don't think that's right, on this industry. Some promotions last for decades, having a distinct impact on every new generation that comes its way, while others last for a short time, barely leaving a trace of their mere existence. Some promotions nurture talented young wrestlers with unlimited potential who eventually blossom into international superstars, while other promotions are condemned to a lifetime of daydreaming performers who have restricted goals and potential. Shots fired. Why do some promotions have such an immense impact on professional wrestling? Why are some promotions able to be successful for generations? Why do some promotions produce many main event level superstars while others remain incapable to produce even one? To answer the questions, we must look to the promotion that has set the bar for all other independent promotions since its creation, Stampede Wrestling. In 1948, Holly's eyes roll, Stampede Wrestling was created in Calgary, Alberta by Stu Hart, as part of the NWA regime which dominated the wrestling industry at the time. In the beginning of their relationship, NWA gave little support to Stampede, which at the time was only a small regional promotion that gained little exposure. In their early days, Stampede Wrestling struggled with not being able to secure prominent wrestlers and had little more than local independent wrestlers with little fame or experience. In the early 60s, Stampede began to attract well-known competitors such as Harley Race and former WWF champion Stan Stasiak, and the promotion crowned its first champion in 1962. Crazy to think when it was kind of in like 1948 that it kicked off, and here we are, 14 years later, and that's when they crowned the champion. Awarding the Stampede Wrestling North American Heavyweight title to Archie Goldie, aka the Stomper, who won the title 8 times. Stampede's wrestling newfound success continued through the 1960s and into the 1970s, drawing such well-known wrestlers as Abdullah the Butcher, Andre the Giant, and Junkyard Dog, Didn't need to do either of them, but here we are. As the promotion progressed, Stu began using his training facility, the Dungeon, as a farm team. A farm team? That's amazing. As a farm team for Stampede Wrestling, training his students to be Stampede headliners and carry the shows. These competitors created little need for Stu to bring in wrestlers from other territories, as many of his trainees were skilled enough to draw crowds on their own and create an even bigger name for Stampede. These trainees, who included Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith and Chris Benoit, earned Stampede Wrestling national television coverage, as well as international recognition among fans and wrestlers. In 1981, Stampede's wrestling business was booming to the point where they no longer required affiliation with the National Wrestling Alliance. Stu Hart chose to cut off his relationship with the NWA and operate Stampede completely independently. While many thought that this was a risky decision, it appeared to be the right one, as stars such as Don Morocco and Jake Roberts flocked to Stampede, and even bigger stars such as Jushin Liger, Dynamite Kid and Chris Jericho were produced by Stampede and their training facility, the Dungeon. Stampede's wrestling success did more than attract fans and wrestlers, though. It attracted other promoters as well. In the early 1980s, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, who had just recently bought the World Wrestling Federation from his father, began watching Stampede Wrestling. In 1984, only 3 years after disconnecting their ties with the NWA, Stampede Wrestling received a sales pitch from the WWF, who was in the process of buying out and running over many territories, sucking up their stars and leaving only ruins of what was once a booming wrestling business. Although Stu Hart loved his promotion, the 69-year-old promoter made the decision to sell his promotion to Vince McMahon and the WWF. In 1985, the WWF was making use of those who were once Stampede Wrestling's biggest stars, but were not making use of the actual Stampede Wrestling promotion. That year, Vince McMahon called Bruce Hart, which is Bret's brother, and told him that he was unable to fulfill the agreement, and gave Bruce permission to reform Stampede Wrestling. So there's a few, just to cut in on that, there's a few mixed stories that I've heard around that. So from my understanding of what Bret Hart said, I believe it was noted in his book, when his dad agreed to sell Stampede Wrestling to Vince, the agreement was $750,000 would be paid and it would be over X amount of time. That money was never received, and as a result of that, Bruce Hart, so one of Bret's brothers, started up the promotion again, but obviously they'd already lost all their stars at that point. So as far as I'm aware, I don't think Vince necessarily greenlit them to start doing it up again, but it just kind of happened. So yeah, it's carny world of pro wrestling, a little bit hard to distinguish the fact from the fiction. McMahon was a sly businessman though, and allowed Stampede Wrestling to reform safe in the knowledge that he was in possession of all of Stampede's former main eventers, such as Bret and Owen Hart, Jim Neidhart, Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid. When Bruce Hart recreated Stampede Wrestling, he did so without any major stars, and the roster primarily consisted of trainees from the Dungeon who were looking for a start in the business, hardly anyone who could draw a crowd. During the next 10 years, Stampede Wrestling struggled to overcome the WWF's monopoly on the wrestling business. In fact, there were no title changes in Stampede Wrestling between 1989 and 1998. In 1998, Bruce Hart took on the assistance of his brother Ross as owner and booker of Stampede Wrestling, and many new talents began popping up in the Stampede Wrestling territory. Competitors such as Harry Bulldog Smith, son of Davey Boy Smith, the Stampede Kid, TJ Wilson, Dave the Rave Swift, great name, Natty Neidhart, daughter of Jim Neidhart, and Teddy Hart, nephew of Bret and Owen, have rejuvenated Stampede Wrestling and returned it to its former glory. The glory it so richly deserves. Obviously, they're not really doing anything and have died a death. But anyway, that is kind of a bit of background as to how important Stampede Wrestling was for Calgary. Because where it's positioned in Canada is quite remote, so it's so far away from the busy cities that it was difficult for them to get in the likes of your attractions of the day like Andre the Giant, etc. But they still managed to cultivate a strong following, and Stu Hart is considered by many, specifically in, you know, not just Canada but North America, as being like an incredible figurehead and kind of father figure of Canadian wrestling. The stories of what he did in his dungeon to these big grown men, making them pass out, like blood coming out their eyes and stuff like that from the holds he was putting them in, are legendary. And like it sounds really cruel actually, but you hear stories about like the Hart kids betting as the trainees came into their house to go down to the dungeon who was going to make it and who wasn't.
Oh, okay.
But it was also a madhouse as well. So there's stories, for example, that Brett used to sit on the front of their porch, let ice cream drip onto his feet, because there was a wrestling bear that at one point was sheltered up under there.
Hang on.
An actual bear, yes.
Is this a real story?
Real story. And the bear would lick the ice cream off his feet.
A bear?
A bear. Basically, like, there were very specific rules of what you could and couldn't do to make sure the bear didn't lose his shit.
What?
Like, she basically had to kind of rustle around with it, but
This
keep
is
all your
giving me
limbs.
some great mental imagery, but what?
No, seriously, yeah.
Baffling.
It was kind of like, it sounds almost like a circus act, and in many ways, kind of wrestling did get its start from that kind of
Bear.
entertainment. Yeah, a wrestling bear.
Jesus.
And there's stories of it a couple of times losing its rag and having to be like calmed down by a number of people. So you had to be balled up tight when you were ever, because any stray limb or something like that, if it caught you, problems.
Oh, okay.
I wish you could see the look on Holly's
I don't know how
face.
to come back from this. I'm so perplexed.
Well, spoiler alert: there were no wrestling bears on this show.
I know.
Bears maybe in other communities, but no wrestling bears for sure.
Wow, okay.
But so as important as the Hearts are in the world of professional wrestling, they were seen as celebrities, like proper celebrities in Calgary. There's as many good stories as there are bad. So in terms of a family, they were always happy to help people. They'd have people coming off that. Like, there's a story of when Stu was running Stampede Wrestling, every year he'd buy himself a new Cadillac. And he'd keep the old ones and let the wrestlers use them to drive from town to town for their shows. And one time he caught a kid or a teenager trying to steal one of the Cadillacs, grabbed him, took him down to the dungeon, and then started tying him up in holes. And when he found out about the kid's background, they came from a poor family. I think he gave him a job at the shows and stuff like that. And they would always have wrestlers like an open door policy. People would come in and out. They never locked the front doors, to the point where sometimes they weren't even home and they'd have the house keys unlocked, because no one's going to fuck with them, because they know that it's a
bear.
But yeah, there's not always a bear there. That was just one particular incident. But they were so known as being legitimate, tough guy, professional wrestling family. No one's going to fuck it, apart from this kid who tried to take the Cadillac. You're not going to mess with them.
Jeez. Okay.
But there's stories about people that have gone there, and there's like cat piss everywhere up on the furniture. There's that smell, obviously, that comes with it. Just mental. Absolutely mental. There's a story that Helen Hart, so Helen being Brett's mum, Stu's wife, she used to do the finance side of it, which is quite interesting, because especially given that time, you think of the roles of the stereotypical man and stereotypical woman.
Yeah.
Stu would be the one that would make sure the kids were up, ready to go to school, take them to school, get them the lunches, breakfast, all this kind of stuff, feed all the animals that they kept, and Helen would be the one doing all the finance and stuff. And she's admitted, she said, I wasn't particularly maternal in that respect of what you think of the role of a mother as being. And considering Stu was such a tough bastard, the fact that he could do this as well, and was relatively comfortable doing it, because from the 50s she was doing the books for him, which was unheard of, really. But Helen once said that someone had come round to the house and she was like, I'm sick of people coming around to the house, you need to stop it. And one time she hid under the table thinking that they'd go away. Stu was in a different part of the house, came and got the door. They came into the room where she was hiding on the table and were there talking for a few hours, just sat down at the table, not realising that his wife was sat there under the table. Because how do you come back from that?
True.
You can't just go, oh, there it is, after 30 minutes, can you? It's stupid. So I'd love to see that there. It sounds like a skit,
Yeah,
but
it does.
there's a lot of
Bizarre.
interesting stories about Hart House, as it's, because it's the mansion that they have is like kind of up a windy drive on a hill overlooking the city, so it almost kind of looks like a haunted mansion in many respects. But again, wanted to give you a little bit of backing knowledge as to why Calgary, Stampede and the Hearts, and this all kind of coalesces for this show.
Yeah.
Because it's in Calgary, it's called Canadian Stampede. Does that shine any light onto how well they were received as a family?
I suppose it helps now. I figured they'd be well received anyway, because I know it was that area, but I guess it now makes sense quite how excitable everybody was.
Well, yes, but that is... We'll save that for the very end of the show. I think we will.
Shall.
Okay, so with that being said, I feel like the table's been set. Let's get ready to tuck in. The show opens with a video package depicting various numbers on an electronic-looking background and reminds me in many ways of the Y2J entrance video.
Yep.
Was that what you thought, sir?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, good. The voiceover says over 100 countries in over 7 different languages with over 500 million viewers each week. The World Wrestling Federation, the worldwide leader in sports entertainment. Over 500 million a week? No.
No?
No, okay, so it depends how they're kind of totalling these up.
All right.
So you think about the time, so this would have been what, 90... I don't think they didn't have SmackDown yet, so you've got to take that out of the equation. But they've got Raw. I don't know if Shotgun Saturday's still going on, and their pay-per-view shows. So if someone watches both of those shows, I assume that counts as 2 views rather than one person.
Yes, yeah.
And also Raw used to do this thing of the first half of the show being Raw, and then there was Raw is War.
Yeah.
Do they count those as 2 shows as well?
Yeah,
So
why not?
whatever's watching the first then goes into the second counts as a new view.
Yeah, why not, eh?
And it's around the world, but it's one of those ones where, especially like now, if you think about digital media and how that's set up, do you think they'd go, well, over the last week we've had 20 billion different viewers. There was only 7.5 billion in the world, or 8 billion, whatever it is. So how are we counting this? Are we doing like WrestleMania 3 attendance numbers again?
Oh, maybe. Maybe they're using a dodgy abacus.
Oh, well, I mean, they're using something dodgy, that's for sure. We transition to a monochrome promo package featuring a number of the top WWF superstars. The voiceover informs us that the world is no longer black and white, and is instead full of shades of grey.
50.
Not quite, no. I'm trying to think if there are no real sexy moments in this show, actually, now I think about it. Where good is indistinguishable from evil. We see highlights of Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, the British Bulldog and Mankind. The voiceover continues to inform us that Bret Hart has been one of the most popular WWF stars in the past decade, but since his dealings with Stone Cold, Bret Hart somehow became the villain. We saw obviously their match at WrestleMania.
Yes, we did.
Which I'm trying to think when this was. This was July. No, so they'd had their match. Yeah, they'd had their match already a few months ago at Mania.
Well, yeah, because don't they show a clip of it?
Of course they do. That makes sense. That would be very difficult otherwise, I dare say, if it hadn't happened. With that being said, we are shown the infamous footage of Stone Cold bleeding during their WrestleMania match.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I'm
No,
impressed I remembered.
yeah, I am actually. Yeah, I was going to try and take that away from you, but that wouldn't be fair. No.
Thank you.
The promo also depicts Bret Hart going to extreme lengths to punish Stone Cold, and that he ultimately turned his back on the US fans. Along this journey, he reunited the Hart Foundation, and it's noted that we're in Calgary for the paradoxical show where the prodigal sons have returned. The roles will be reversed, the faces will be the bad guys, and the heels will be the heroes.
Ooh.
The opening montage now shifts to an illustrated wooden surface that gets cattle branded with the In Your House logo. When this disappears, we see a Canadian maple leaf with a cattle skull in the foreground and the words Canadian Stampede encircling it. After the sound of a whoosh can be heard, and it's not Sable's entrance thing, we head live to the arena where we witness the opening fireworks display. The cameras pan the crowd where we see hundreds and hundreds of signs, including one particularly upsetting one that spells Brett with 2 T's instead of 1. He's your hometown guy! How the fuck do you not know how to spell his name? Oh, Jesus.
Get angry about some really funny things.
I was like, Brett, brilliant. Do you know, if it had been anywhere else, fine. In Calgary, fucking Brett with 2 T's. I know that's the standard way of doing it, but this is WWF. Anyway.
It's so angry about it.
Very, very much so. Vince McMahon is in full raspy glass gargling effect as he welcomes everyone to In Your House 16 Canadian Stampede. Holly is immediately saddened as she had thought that Vince may have moved away from commentary at this point in time, but no, not quite yet.
But it does giveth.
It does giveth.
Yes.
Okay. Pleasingly though, Holly, at least Vince is sat next to good old JR.
There it is.
There it is. However,
It taketh away.
Lawler looks as though he raided his dad's closet, as we can barely see his face under the 10-gallon headwear that he's chosen.
What's the name of the guy from Looney Tunes? That's
Not Prospector Pete. Sam something, is it?
But he's got the
The
massive
red
hat.
tash as well. Yeah.
Massive hat.
Fucking hell. Yeah, I mean, it's not a good look, but I couldn't see his face, so I'm okay with it. I hate to say it, but Vince's hat is a little bit too plantation owner for my liking. With the way it is though, isn't it?
I mean,
it is.
Okay.
It is. Vince is quick to hand it to JR, who excitedly talks about the great Sasuke, who is widely considered to be, and they don't say his name right once, but that's fine, who is widely considered to be the best light heavyweight in all of professional wrestling. And tonight they will get to see him in the WWF for the first time. Holly already didn't know who that was, which is just fantastic. It's because they were saying Sasuke the whole time.
Yes.
It's Sasuke. It's never been Sasuke.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. McMahon now shifts it to King, who continues to look fucking ridiculous as he discusses the upcoming match between Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Mankind. Before Vince can discuss much about the Undertaker match, we hear the entrance music for our first competitor in match number 1. Holly, match number 1, Hunter Hearst Helmsley with Chyna versus Mankind.
It is.
On paper, were you thinking, okay,
Ooh,
and then you realised, it's not quite Triple H yet.
No, it's not, but still.
Yeah, they've had good matches that we've seen on the show. Certainly the Rumble one. I'm trying to remember if they had another one. I feel like they did, but I can't remember it, so I'm going to say no. Howard Finkel reminds us that Hunter Hearst Helmsley is the 1997 King of the Ring winner as he makes his way down the aisle. And Holly, I haven't asked you, who were you backing in this match?
Oh, this is a hard one.
Because it's not your boy Triple H's time.
Not yet.
And Mankind's a sweetheart.
He is. So it would be Mankind.
Okay. I agree, but okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one when these two are against each other.
Well, sadly for Holly, this is the pre-Triple H Helmsley, and this is also the pre-feminine Chyna, so a double whammy in many respects. Chyna would of course get her double whammy surgically implanted within the ear. As Helmsley continues his way to the ring, we get a promo package for the match. The voice is that of Doc Hendricks, and we've lost again. Mm-hmm. And during this package, we see highlights from the King of the Ring match between Mankind and Hunter, as well as footage of a young Mick Foley doing a promo as Dude Love prior to him being in the WWF. In no small part down to Chyna's interference, Helmsley becomes the 1997 King of the Ring winner. Not satisfied with his win, Helmsley continues to beat on Mankind. On Raw, Mankind declares that he wanted a rematch, and in response, Chyna invites him down to the ring to kiss her arse. Give it a few years, I'll consider it.
His response, though.
Mankind says that it's Chyna's lucky day, because he happens to be a very good kisser. Does that matter if it's the arse, really?
Yeah, surely.
Well, can you be a shit kisser of the arse?
Who knows?
Have you ever gone, someone's kissing my arse and this is shit? Have you ever had that thought?
So weird.
Exactly. So how,
I don't know.
It would be actually weird if they were just anyway, we'll leave that for now. Something to think about for later. When he does get to the ring, Helmsley beats him down unceremoniously, and with the package now being ended, we head back live to the arena. Now look at this, Holly. Even Howard Finkel is getting in on the cowboy action on this night. The ominous music can mean only one man, and Mankind makes his way down to the ring. As soon as Mankind enters, they both begin to exchange hands, not waiting for the bell, and are we surprised? Not really, no. The bell sounds and we're underway as Mankind gets the better of the exchange. Corner whip sees Helmsley hit the buckles hard, and Mankind follows this up quickly with a running bulldog. Body slam and leg drop find their mark, and Mankind follows up with a double arm DDT, and I thought, oh shit, that's the end already. Yeah. Because that's obviously the finish part from the mandible claw. King makes a comment that most of the women in the crowd look like Mankind. Most were also too old for him anyway. The masked man now mocks Helmsley with his regal bow, and the crowd love it, and I admit I enjoyed it. Because at first I was like, what is he doing? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Whip sees Mankind duck too early and he eats a facebuster, but Helmsley is overzealous and charges in, which results in him being back body dropped over the top and to the outside. From the apron, Mankind lands an elbow drop before giving the finger gun salute to the crowd. Cactus Jack much? Mm. Helmsley is rolled back into the ring and Mankind gets a 2 count off the pinfall attempt. Kicks in the corner by Mankind, who whips Helmsley into the buckles and sees him go head over heels to the outside once more. As the camera closes in on Chyna, Vince says, "Look at her delts." Her what? Says King. I liked it. Yeah. Mankind ascends to the middle rope, but Hunter sees the danger and decides the best course of action is for him to head back up the aisle. Mankind is in hot suit and levels Helmsley with a clothesline from behind before delivering a hellacious suplex on the steel grating.
Sounded nice.
Yeah, it's a great sound, that, isn't it? I'm sure it sucks as well. There can't be a nice way of taking that. I know it's got a bit of bounce to it, so that probably helps a little bit, but still, not much. JR says on commentary, when you're outside, you're in Mankind's territory. No arguments there, and we see the masked man gently rock himself back and forth when he re-enters the ring. Slowly but surely, Helmsley crawls his way back down to the ring, but as soon as he climbs onto the apron, he's knocked crashing back down with a right hand. On the second attempt, he drives a shoulder into the midsection and secures a sunset flip back into the ring. Not one you see from Triple H often, that.
No.
Unfortunately, though, Mankind drops his weight down and applies the mandible claw. Great counter. Great counter.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Much like we saw in the promo video earlier, Chyna from the outside grabs a handful of Mankind's hair and drills him with a right hand. Somehow the referee has to pretend that he did not see this. What a schmuck.
Many of these should have gone to Specsavers.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Corderas, who was the ref in this match, he has a couple of fuck-ups.
It's like they got blinkers on.
I think it was Jim Corderas. It wasn't Jack Dine. I made a note of it anyway, because it fucks up again.
Mm-hmm.
Big right hand from Mankind staggers Helmsley into the referee, who takes a blow to the face. With the referee...
Ooh.
No, I've skipped a bit.
Oh.
Mankind has had enough of the ninth wonder of the world and begins to march her down. But before he can reach her, he turns and delivers a right hand to the midsection of his opponent as he leaps from the apron. Now, big right hand from Mankind staggers Helmsley into the referee, who takes a blow to the face. This bit of interference I did like. With the referee temporarily blinded, he's unable to see Helmsley reverse a whip that sends Mankind into a big hip toss from Chyna that results in his knees crashing hard into the ring steps in, again, a classic Foley spot. No wonder he had so many fucking knee issues.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrendous.
Like, it's good, but it's to watch it, I literally went, ooh.
Yep. The official returns to admonish Chyna and now misses Hunter using a chair on the injured leg of Mankind.
Oh, so they can't see and they can't hear. Brilliant.
Hearing, I can kind of understand, 'cause you can hear it, but if you don't see it, you can't call it.
I mean, come on now.
Yeah. I don't know. The official returns to admonish Chyna. That being said, we also miss it as the viewing audience at home, as the camera struggles to focus on the action, because he takes a step back, loses his balance, and starts firing off at the ceiling as the chair's swung. So we can only assume it landed.
Yes.
Both men return to the ring, although Mankind is clearly limping, and when he's halfway through entering, Helmsley connects with a brutal chop block, entering what, you might ask, the ring. Hunter is referred to as being cerebral, as he stomps away on the injured knee, and Holly's nodding. Did you put that?
Of course I did.
Yeah, okay.
I do listen sometimes.
Yeah, well, not often to commentary, though, it must be said.
No.
Injured knee, and we see a split screen replay of Mankind's knee hitting the steel outside. More kicks directed at the knee of the hobbled masked man, and Helmsley delivers a jumping elbow drop as the appendage. Let's read that bit again. More kicks directed at the knee of the hobbled masked man, and Helmsley delivers a jumping elbow drop as the appendage is draped across the bottom rope. Looks brutal.
Yeah, I agree.
Backed into the corner, Helmsley places Mankind's toes across the middle rope before leaping and driving his own knee into the injured joint. Again, looks nasty.
Yep.
Flurry of right hands to the top of the head as Helmsley appears to be taking over. Corner whip is attempted, but Mankind is so injured that his legs buckle and he falls to the canvas hard. I like that touch.
Yeah.
Because if you can't run,
hurts, you can't run,
yeah,
right?
exactly, go down. Now the figure four is applied, and after a while, Mankind is in such great pain he appears to pass out, but gets his shoulder off the mat before the count of 3. Having pulled himself toward the ropes, Helmsley uses this advantage to apply further pressure in the hold. Mankind implores the referee to see what is happening, but he only catches it on the second attempt.
Because he's stupid.
Yeah, because he pretty much sees it on the first attempt.
And then I know it's staged, right? But someone lets go, the ropes are moving. Oh, I wonder what's happened. Like, come on
The
now.
excitement of it all.
Oh.
But apparently, that is still not enough, and Helmsley only receives a warning. Clearly, the official was not supposed to see it on the second attempt either, but it was so obvious he wasn't willing to play dumb until he made his dumbass call. As expected, I was so annoyed. Like, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Even if you're not supposed to see it, you have to call it there. You have to go, no, break it up.
Yeah.
He goes, don't do that again.
And then just looks away.
Okay, cool, fine.
Cool.
As expected, on the third try, the official kicks Helmsley's arms away from the ropes. Right hands land from Mankind, who frees himself from the hold. Right hand to the midsection, and Helmsley goes face first into the buckles. Mankind lands a kick, but you can see it is causing him to suffer, and he changes his tact. Corner whip is countered, and now Helmsley is looking for the pedigree, but finds his legs picked, although he's able to push Mankind away hard into the buckles. As the masked man stumbles back out, his leg gives way once more and he lands headfirst into the groin of the Blue Blood.
I like that.
Yeah, of course you did.
It's funny.
Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no.
I liked it at this
Okay,
point.
fine.
Mainly because he'd annoyed me by hanging onto the ropes for so long.
Fair enough. Safe to say the fans enjoyed that one, as did Holly.
Yep.
Back on their feet, and Mankind unloads with a series of right hands, causing Helmsley to wilt in the corner, and follows this up with a running knee to the head. Corner whip sees Helmsley go upside down and into the Tree of Woe, where he's hit with a running double axe handle to the face, which is a classic Mick Foley spot. Do you like that double axe handle? Because I know you're not normally a fan.
No, but for some reason, he's alright.
Yeah, it's different though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's good. The official kindly unhooks Hunter's legs.
Right. Can I ask a question?
You can.
Why?
Why did they untie Andre from the ropes?
Yeah, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they do not. Does it just depend?
I don't know. Sometimes they will make a hold get broken when someone's clearly
It's so-
cheating, and other times they'll wag their finger at them.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll just keep counting at them until they disqualify, and other times they'll kick their fucking arms away. Who knows?
There's no consistency here from my brain.
There is no consistency.
Very
Exactly.
upsetting.
The only consistency is no consistency in this one.
Ooh, cryptic.
The official... Craptic, more like. The official kindly unhooks it. But the Connecticut native staggers blindly into a pile driver, which, as always, causes Holly to grasp at her neck.
No thanks.
And it's that pull one that Mankind does, where he
Yep,
just
and I
gives
don't
him a
like
wedgie.
it.
Yeah. Mankind just about drapes an arm over the chest for cover, but it's only enough for two. After signalling to the crowd, we get a classic cactus clothesline that sends both men over the top and down to the floor. Now Mankind has the bright red steel chair, but before he can use it, Chyna rips it out of his hands from behind. The official gets right in her face, which results in him missing Helmsley striking with the weapon to the injured knee, but he does turn around in time to prevent the second, which would have been aimed at the head. Whilst that solves one problem, Chyna levels Mankind with a clothesline. Helmsley rolls him into the ring and climbs to the top rope. However, before he can take flight, Mankind stumbles into the ropes, causing the Blue Blood to crotch himself on the top rope.
It's a dick guillotine.
A dick guillotine indeed. Of course it's a dick guillotine.
I know that that's obviously my vocab. Anything else, I don't remember.
No.
But that I do.
I don't think I've got this. What is this move? Oh no, there is one later actually I can do on for you.
Yeah.
The referee,
I hope I've got it.
Okay. With Helmsley still sat on the top buckle, the mandible claw is applied. The referee... What is it with me and ours? The referee furiously tries to break the hold, and as he does, Chyna pulls Mankind by the legs and drags him crotch first into the ring post. Whilst I appreciate Helmsley had the referee blinded in a hug, how fucking clumsy does he think Mankind is to get himself in that position from what he saw happen? Oh, he also fell over and slid 3 foot.
Of course.
And then Dick guillotined himself on the post.
I mean, also have a drink for that, but,
of course.
You know, why not?
With the action back on the outside, Mankind finds himself thrown face first into the guardrail before then being tossed into the crowd. We now hear the bell sound, which confuses me, but it turns out that both men have been counted out. This match is a draw. Well, it wasn't enough of a draw to be a main event. The two men continue to brawl through the crowd, and we see Mankind hip toss Hunter into an ice hockey penalty box.
Yes.
Chyna drags Mankind out of the penalty box by the hair, and for some reason he decides to just walk away. Yeah. Which I thought was like, enough of this shit, I'm not doing this. He doesn't get very far though, as a now freshly bladed Helmsley, for reasons I don't know, runs after him to continue the fight. A sea of agents and officials try to separate the two men, and during this we see Tim White go flying, which makes me laugh. It has to be said, the fans really seem to enjoy this wild action, but this one is in the books. Holly, what did you think?
Do you know what? I really enjoyed it. It was such an easy watch to start. 3 out of 5 for me. Go on.
3 out of 5.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't look up Big Dave's scores because, quite
No.
frankly, we don't need him all the time.
No.
But 3 stars was how I landed on it. I thought
enjoyed
it
that.
was an entertaining brawl. It moved at a fast enough pace. They didn't repeat any of the same things. It was fine. China's involvement, for the most part, worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely fine with it, to be fair. Absolutely fine with it. The referee needs to have a word with himself, though.
Well,
that was a
yeah.
seriously poor performance.
Yes.
And I hope he was rightly reprimanded as a result.
Maybe he got a finger wagged in his face, just telling him not to do it again.
I thought you said a finger wank.
Oh,
It was only when I looked up and saw you doing that I realised you said wag.
I
was like,
don't
what?
even know what that would mean.
Well, it's
but
just
okay.
a wank, isn't it? Don't know why unless someone's
one
wanking
finger?
the finger. Well, I don't know how you like it.
I don't know. It's weird.
Shove a fist up there. I don't know what you
Weird.
did. But no, like, anyway, we need to move on from the wanking terminology. Anyway, so following the conclusion of this match, we head to the Calgary Stampede horses parade, which includes the voiceover of Doc Hendricks. We see twirling batons and kilt-wearing band players march through the streets of Calgary, as well as a float that featured the legendary Hart family in their hometown. A sea of fans that we are informed queued for a mile for the opportunity to have a meet and greet with Bret Hart, and the Hitman signed memorabilia for each and every one of them. What a hero.
You'd consider that as this was such a big thing, they wouldn't use the same video more than once in the, the event. But hey ho, it's just my thoughts.
Yeah, well, Holly's kind of put the cart before the horse there. Another horse reference for you.
It's true though.
Yeah, they do use it again, which I thought was odd, to
Yeah.
be honest. It's almost like they're trying to fill time or something for this.
Shocking.
From here, we get taken to the White Hat ceremony that saw the Legion of Doom, Doc Hendricks, and Goldust raise their right hands as though they are going to pledge the allegiance. That I don't know either.
No.
Well, you're looking at me like for an explanation.
Yeah,
Got
no,
nothing.
okay.
Got absolutely nothing. There was also a tug of war between the WWF superstars and a team of civilians, which of course the WWF won because steroidy big
embarrassing if
men.
not.
Yeah, imagine they didn't.
Be
Oh
funny.
dear. Although we're informed that really the fans are the ones who are the winners.
Good lord.
Finally, we head to the Stampede grounds, where an excited mob awaited the arrival of Bret Hart. When he arrived, we see a man in the background, wearing the most ludicrous fucking hat you've ever seen in your life. It is comically huge. It makes King's. King's is honestly no more than half the size of this fucking hat. It's outrageous. It's criminal. Like the guy, the hat must weigh as much as the guy. He's an old man, and he's wearing this hat that looks halfway between. What's those big sun lounge hats that women wear?
Oh, like a really floppy, like massive brimmed hat.
Yeah, it's like halfway
Okay.
sombrero, like as
Oh,
well.
okay,
It's just a scene. But anyway, I'm sure he's still alive. Actually, he's definitely not alive based on how old he looked back then. But still, oh dear. We seamlessly transition to the locker room area where Doc Hendricks, still wearing a cowboy hat, interviews the Hart Foundation. A surly-looking Bret Hart is standing beside Jim Neidhart, the British Bulldog, Owen Hart, and someone we haven't seen for quite some time, the loose cannon Brian Pillman. Good look.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Holly, what do you think of Owen Hart with a crew cut?
No,
Me personally, I fucking hated it.
yeah, I don't like it.
It makes it too generic for some reason. Just don't like
no,
it.
I agree.
Doc asks Bret how he feels about potentially losing tonight, which could be devastating given they're on their home turf. The Hitman tells him not to talk stupid, and I agree. But before he can really get into the full swing, we see Stone Cold Steve Austin walk into shot. Holly pauses. As Pat Patterson and Tony Garea try to hold him back. The funny thing is, though, he actually looks like he's leaning on them, having had one too many Steve Weisers.
Ooh, I
'Cause
just
he's-
looked like he was having a cuddle.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, why are they supporting him?
He's not being aggressive
No.
at all. He's having a little cuddle.
Yeah, he is. As the shouting match continues and Stone Cold is ushered out of the locker room, Doc tries to send it back to Vince. But before he can, the Hitman says, "We don't want to jump him 5-on-1. They want it to be 5-on-5, which is where they'll get the job done." But it's interesting, though, isn't it? Because in every other country, and this was the weird dynamic, well, I mentioned about it being a bit of a paradoxical show. In the US, which is where the majority of, obviously, the WWE shows are filmed, the Hearts are the heels. But in Europe, in UK, in Canada, they're the faces. So you have to try and book accordingly as you go through without completely flipping their mannerisms, because that would just be alienating. So with Stone Cold, it's not too bad because Stone Cold has at no point changed from being a heel. So the best heel turns, in my opinion, are the ones where the person they're not directing any abuse at the fans. They're giving the same abuse to the wrestlers, but they're then turning what they do against the bad guys instead of the good guys. They're still playing the same character.
Okay.
Like Stone Cold never changed what he did. He would talk to the good guys the same way he talked to the bad guys, whether he was a face or a heel. He never really changed his personality, so it's probably an easier job for him to not have to really change how much he does. He just gets a different reception based on where he is. Whereas Bret has got to still do like dickish things to still be a heel, but when they had the opportunity to jump in 5-on-1, the heel should take that opportunity.
Well, yeah.
But obviously they don't do that because of where they are. And they go,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
we want to do this the right way. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. Match number 2.
Yes.
And one that Keith Keith referenced all of them, to be honest, but
Yep.
I was looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't know how you were going to take this.
Okay.
You know one of the guys.
Yeah.
The other one, who we mentioned earlier in the show, is a new entity to you.
Yes.
Okay? So the match, Taka Michinoku versus the Great Sasuke. Immediately, without going into any details of what happened in the match, how were you geared up for this? Were you expecting to switch off?
A little, but only because we know what I do, and it's people that I'm not really.
Yeah, 2 random Japanese guys.
I'm just not engaged. Like, I don't know who they are really, character-wise, or much about them at all.
Yeah, even Taka, who you don't know a great deal about.
Exactly. So I do tend to not focus as much because I'm not invested.
Okay, fair.
But I was here. I watched it, obviously, and
Okay, we'll see what you thought about
We'll
it.
see.
Because, again, this will be difficult for you to probably answer, but did you pick one of the 2 corners to back?
I did, actually.
Because Taka, so my instinct would say you'd go there, but then you see Great Sasuke and you go,
Yeah.
hang about, this is different.
No, didn't change my allegiance.
Stuck with Taka.
Yeah, especially when I found out he was only 23.
Yeah,
Like,
babe.
Jesus.
Babe, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
So, yeah.
dear. I was excited for
Okay.
this match. Because I thought, seeing Great Sasuke in WWF, there was only a handful of times this ever happened, so I'm going to try and drink this in and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
And he trained
Taka
Taka,
Michinoku.
didn't he?
Mm-hmm. He started his own promotion, so the Great Sasuke, I probably should have done a little. In fact, I did. I've got a bit more information about him
okay.
later on, so I'll kind of
Okay,
expand on that for you. I couldn't remember if I put it in, but I did. So let's go into the match.
Yeah.
From here, we head straight into our second match of the night as Taka Michinoku makes his way down to the ring. Impressively, when I said Taka Michinoku the first time, because I did these notes through, or rating them as well, I didn't type these down either, it knew how to spell Taka Michinoku perfectly, and I'm assuming it's taken it from another Google Docs that I've done previously. However, every time I try to mention either Taka or Michinoku afterwards, no.
Oh.
So Taka, the closest I could get was T-A-C-A.
Okay, phonetically, still
Fine. Michinoku was Morocco.
Oh, no.
So, no. And Don Morocco was not here. I'll be honest with you. He was not here.
That was like my autocorrect with Dean Malenko.
Oh, Marengo, Saturday Marengo.
Saturday Marengo.
They'll always be that to me.
Yeah.
They will always be that. Thank God we have JR on commentary as he rattles off some of the key metrics for Taka, whereas Vince just says, "What an athlete," and starts laughing. Ha 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 ha. That one he does, where it's not a real laugh. Before the second competitor can make his way down, Vince says that he is the stuff of legends. So that's a hell of a high praise.
Oh, he's not talking about himself.
No. If people are to be believed, unquestionably. That man he's referring to is, of course, the Great Sasuke. As legitimately cool as it is for me to see the Great Sasuke in a WWF ring, I do feel slightly bad for him having to walk to the ring from a set that looks like a fucking pigsty. He was like, well, I've come a long way from Japan. You're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy.
No.
You are not in Kansas. So, a bit of background for you on the Great Sasuke. The Great Sasuke is the founder and owner of Michinoku Pro and a 19-year veteran of Puroresu, so that was obviously when this was originally written. He's also another wrestler who was also a politician. He was a former legislator in the Iwate Prefectural Assembly. In the ring, he has competed in several promotions over his career but calls Michinoku Pro his home. He started out as Masa Michinoku, a combination of part of his real name and the alternate name for his home region, Tohoku It's. What? Tohoku It's also called Michinoku. What the hell was that? During a tour of Mexico, he became Ninja Sasuke, incorporating a mask and uniform into his gimmick. He changed his name to the Great Sasuke when he returned to Japan. In 1996, he became the first J-Crown champion, which is massive. I know that won't mean anything to you, but that's basically the unifying of 8 separate junior heavyweight titles as one. So he was the champion of 8 different things, and then it was basically put into as one title as the J-Crown, and it's still something that New Japan use to this day.
Okay.
And so Jushin Liger, who we've seen before, who's considered to be Mr. Light Heavyweight, Great Sasuke was the first person to hold that title. So
okay.
that kind of puts it into context a little bit. He then founded Michinoku Pro and entered into a working agreement with the WWF that saw him be part of a tournament to crown the first WWF Light Heavyweight Champion in 1997. Although Sasuke was heavily pushed to be the winner of the tournament, he would later brag to the Japanese media how he would only defend his title in Japan had he won the title and would refuse to drop the title on WWF television. When the WWF heard of Sasuke's comments, he was fired, as well as his working agreement with them terminated. You don't try and play fucking Billy Big Bollocks with Vince McMahon. It is not going to work. And ultimately, you might remember me saying in a previous episode, Taka Michinoku was the person that became the inaugural light heavyweight champion, but it was all set up to actually be Great Sasuke.
Oh, I see.
Because Taka was so young, he would have his opportunity with it, whereas, I mean, Great Sasuke wasn't old, to be fair. And interestingly enough, on Sasuke, so talking about the political side of it, there's been a number of Japanese wrestlers that have tried to do stuff in politics. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with the works of Antonio Inoki.
No.
Have you heard of him? So back in the 70s, the very first quote-unquote mixed martial arts match was between Antonio Inoki and Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Pro wrestler versus wrestler.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, pro wrestler versus boxer.
Yeah.
It was a very difficult negotiation to work out between the two because it was originally going to be scripted, but then and for Antonio Inoki to win because it was being done, overseas, and Antonio Inoki was, to put him into context for someone that he was, it's tough. If I say he's like Hulk Hogan, it's not a direct correlation, but he is wrestling in Japan,
right?
Around the same time as Hogan as well, and he was very selective of who he would lose to and when he would lose, and he wrestled well beyond when he should have done. But he's got like a heroic myth-like figure in Japanese wrestling, and he was the one that was putting this together with Ali. And because they couldn't work on an agreed-upon finish, they went, well, we're going to do this legitimately then. But they put in so many different rules of what Antonio could and couldn't do that what eventually happened, and it's got tied to the WWF as well, is that this was being aired on pay-per-view or the equivalent on, not closed circuit TV, but they'd play it in arenas around the country, much like they did the first WrestleMania. WWF had the rights for that, or I say WWF, it was Vince McMahon Sr. at the time because it was still the 70s. So there's that tie-in there with the two individuals. And basically what actually happened in the match was Antonio Inoki dropped onto his back, was butt scooting along and just kicking the shit out of Muhammad Ali's legs because Ali couldn't reach down to punch him. And to the point where Ali took so much damage to his legs, I think it was declared a draw after 15 rounds of dog shit, basically.
Oh, okay.
And Ali took so much damage to his legs, he had blood clots in his calves and stuff like that. And I assume you've heard of the Ali Shuffle, obviously the famous shuffle he did. Yeah. He was never the same in terms of being able to do that pace-wise after that fight with Antonio, because he just had the shit kicked out of his legs. God. So that is, I can't actually remember why I went on to that story. I was trying to talk about politics. So Antonio Inoki tried to go into politics, and because pro wrestling is seen as such a fine sport and art form in Japan, these type of people are so popular with the fans. I saw a documentary on YouTube where the Great Sasuke was doing a similar thing, and it was showing him campaigning, and he didn't get into the position of office that he was looking for, but it showed him still performing at like really small shows. He still had the mask, but he didn't have his gear on. Yeah. Still in good nick, to be fair to the guy at the time, but his body was like Sabu's, like with the scars just everywhere. And he seemed like a humble guy. When he's married a lady, I can't remember, she's not Japanese. I wish I remembered her nationality, but she talks fine English, and he talks basically no English. So she was talking to the camera. Unfortunately, they didn't have to translate her, and it's just quite a sad sight, really, because the way that they kind of promote themselves in the area is they stand literally on the street at night with like a loudspeaker talking to people. Said, I hope I can count on your votes. How are you? I hope I can count. And it's quite depressing, but I found it fascinating to watch. But yeah, it's free on YouTube for anyone out there who's interested in it. Because I quite like wrestling documentaries, and I was running out of stuff to watch, so I tried to find something, and I just stumbled. I put wrestling documentaries, and this was like the 5th one that came up, and I'd already seen all the other ones, so that was the luck of the draw. But yeah, great Sasuke in terms of light heavyweight. Is he considered to be the greatest of all time? No, probably Jushin Thunder Liger. But, he's still not far off that level in terms of the grand scheme of things in Japan. Okay. So he did have a bit of a following as he came over to the WWF. Back to the match. As Sasuke enters the ring, the crowd become loud, but not because of the upcoming match, but due to the fact that Mankind and Triple H have returned brawling through the fans. Holly, what were your thoughts?
I'll be honest, initially I was like, oh, God's sake. But it was fine because it didn't actually last that long.
A good slap in the face and a reminder that only the WWF stars are the ones that matter. Because at first I thought, oh, fuck off.
Just let them have their
match.
Moment, yeah.
Fortunately, because they hadn't started the match,
yes,
and then they kind of go back out a shot, and then the match starts. Yes. Ultimately, I was okay with it.
Yeah.
But at first, I thought,
it didn't interrupt the match.
You wouldn't do this in the WWF title match.
No,
you wouldn't do this in the main event.
Well,
I just thought, and I get it. If you had to, gun to your head, if you had to do it in one of them, you would do it for that one. But still, just let me enjoy it. Yeah. Let me enjoy it. Mankind hits Helmsley with a trash can to the head before unloading right hands as the blue blood is pressed up against a guardrail. Helmsley tries to fire back, but Mankind clotheslines him slowly over the guardrail, and I do mean slowly. He went down in sections.
Laboured.
Yes, it was quite a lug to get him over that. And they continue the brawl. Chyna tries to get in a few right hands herself, but the two men will not be separated from their punch-up, despite the intention of the officials. Face first into the equipment box goes Helmsley, and now once more they disappear backstage. And I was like, good.
Yep.
And I was like, please don't have the cameras follow them.
Yeah, I was a bit like, oh no, here we go.
Both men are poised as if they're going to have... Oh, sorry, and then we're back to the action. The bell sounds and the two men cautiously circle one another. Both men are poised, or poisoned I've got here, but I meant poised, as if they're going to have a martial arts bout, with Sasuke attempting a roundhouse kick that misses the mark from the offset. If that had landed, he would have been unconscious, is what I'm saying. And he does eat a kick later, which was not particularly pleasant. A second head kick is narrowly blocked, as is a third by Taka. However, he cannot avoid the kick to the leg, which almost makes him buckle. They lock up with a collar and elbow tie-up and struggle for position until Michinoku backs him against the ropes. Clean break, and they re-engage with a single Greco-Roman knuckle lock-up. That's hard to say. Top wrist lock by Sasuke, but Michinoku rolls through, picks the leg and drops an elbow to the knee. This too gets countered by Sasuke, who looks for a straight armbar, but Taka keeps his hands locked together. However, he still finds himself nearly pinned and has to shift position. A second near pinfall from the position until Taka is able to stack Sasuke up and pin his shoulders to the ground instead. The kick out breaks the hold. They cautiously circle once again, and this time a Sasuke spinning kick connects to the chest, and he snapmares his opponent down where he hooks in a reverse chinlock. A brief hair pull allows Sasuke to transition to a head scissors, and from this position Taka has to ensure he is not pinned as he kicks out at one. Reversal of the position as Taka frees himself and retains back control as well as a variation of an armbar. Taka applies a surfboard lock on the arms and places his knee to the spine to retain further leverage on his opponent before replacing his knee with his foot. Good. Makes sense. Yeah. Do it. Vince astutely points out on commentary that Sasuke, given his reputation, has a great deal more to lose than his opponent. JR agrees but says that it would not be a massive upset. Back on their feet and Taka wrenches an arm over his shoulder not once but twice. However, on the second attempt, Sasuke looks to apply a sleeper hold, but the end result is still the same. Taka hits the ropes but runs directly into a spinning back kick to the face, which causes the crowd to erupt, and that looked bloody brilliant.
Yes, it did.
Michinoku timbers down to the canvas, where Sasuke applies a single-legged crab, nasty angle for the hold, but Michinoku is able to still reach the ropes to cause the break. Good job we didn't just get a warning. A series of kicks land from Sasuke, but the third is caught, and Taka responds with a stiff slap to the face, which the crowd pop for. And it was more of a heel of the palm, to be fair, because it made a thud noise rather than a slap. Another two heel of the palm strikes land to the face from Taka, but he rushes in and gets elevated over the top rope, high into the air and down to the floor. And he did go high into the air, reminiscent of his 2000 Royal Rumble elimination where he smashes his face off the floor. Oh. You've forgotten about that, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Sasuke heads to the top rope and scores with a single-legged missile dropkick to the face on the outside. Madman. I don't think I've ever seen anyone attempt that before. Nope. Both men are understandably down on the floor. They return to the ring, upon which McMahon says, "We have never seen action like this in the World Wrestling Federation, for some time at least." Now, unless he's referring to the Dynamite Kid versus Tiger Mask, I have no fucking clue which match he might be referring to here. You don't see this shit in the WWF, unless he's thinking, Hakushi? I don't know, what's he thinking? Like, we've not seen, no one's ever done a missile drop kick to the outside, as far as I'm aware, because it's mental.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Again, he doesn't want to big them up too much, because they're not his stars.
True.
More kicks from Great Sasuke back Michinoku into the corner, and when he slumps to his backside, he eats a vicious spinning back kick right to the face, and it does hit him square in the face. It's an eye-waterer, is what I put it down as. He staggers back to his feet and eats a big kick to the head, which drops him hard to the canvas. Sasuke is begging him to stand back on his feet, and when he does, he unleashes a further barrage of stiff kicks. Finally, Taka grabs one of the kicks and connects with a vicious dragon screw leg whip. Very nicely done.
Yeah.
Drop kick now to Sasuke's knee, and this sends him to the outside, but no respite is to be found as Taka leaps to the top rope in a single bound and goes flying to connect with the plancher on the outside. Just the balance alone is amazing.
Brilliant.
The crowd explode at this. However, to bring us crashing back to earth, Vince is quick to note how much like a samurai warrior Michinoku appears to be. Thanks, Vinny. As Taka awaits Sasuke's return to the ring, we see two replays. First, the kick to the face that Michinoku ate in the corner, and the second being the incredible plancha, or planha, as it says here, we just witnessed. It's better than Herkuchi.
No, I like Herkuchi.
Yeah,
I think
don't we all?
A flying Herkuchi.
Don't we all? Yeah.
Brilliant.
Sasuke slowly makes his way to the apron and manages to counter a suplex attempt back into the ring, but his German suplex attempt is prevented by Taka holding onto the top rope. Sasuke succeeds in breaking the grip, but upon release, Michinoku manages to land on his feet and connects with a standing Hurricane Runner that gets a near fall. Very nice. Rolling Cradle Pin also gets a 2 count. Michinoku hits the ropes, but only finds a handspring back elbow waiting for him to knock him down to the floor and under the ropes to the outside. Now it's Sasuke's turn to fly as he scores with an acai moonsault. As Taka slows, or as they wanted to say, what's that fruit called?
What fruit?
Acai?
Oh,
Acai.
I see. Right.
Yeah, that's
still an acai bowl.
Acai. Yeah, that was it. It wanted to put that basically. Acai. Yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out because I remember being annoyed when it did it.
Oh.
As Taka slowly regains his feet, a helpful fan in the front row offers him a sip of his unidentified beverage. I wouldn't drink it either, mate.
Nope.
Vince asks King how he would like to wake up in the morning as one of these two athletes, and I panic, thinking about what response is going to come. And Lawler responds by saying, "Why would I want to? They'll be sore as the devil tomorrow." Or so we are told. Back in the ring, Michinoku ducks a clothesline before tossing Sasuke overhead with a belly-to-belly release suplex. Hook of the leg gets a 1, 2, no. The fans are really eating this up considering they have little to no knowledge of the two men in this match, which I thought was impressive.
Yes.
The crowd were good throughout, actually.
Yes, they were.
Whip sends Sasuke to the buckles, and Taka follows in with a running kick that results with him being on the apron. From there, so he kind of run up, kicks him, and then swings over with his own momentum. From there, he springs to the top rope and connects with a missile drop kick to the back of Sasuke's head. Brutal Michinoku driver.
I don't like that.
I know you don't. Connects after Sasuke was picked up from his heaped position on the bottom ring rope, and we get the 1, 2, no. Sasuke kicks out the finisher. Taka heads back to the top rope, but when he leaps, he's met with a drop kick to the sternum. Sasuke hits the ropes and connects with a standing springboard moonsault, hooks the leg, but still only gets a 2. Modified Razor's Edge drives Taka into the canvas, and the Tiger Suplex with the following bridge does result in the 1, 2, 3. Great Sasuke is your winner by pinfall. Holly, give me your thoughts on this one.
I really enjoyed it. Considering that I will happily admit when I'm not really invested, it's hard for me to... I mean, it takes a lot for me to go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good.
I gave it 3.75.
Fuck off.
What?
3.75.
Really?
Yes.
Stop.
Yeah, you've matched my... Yeah, there's proof if you can see that.
I
from
can
there.
see. I mean, my eyes are bad, but I can see that. Yes. One eye can see it.
Yeah, he literally squints. It's like a Popeye skit over there. But 3.75, I thought that was really good.
It was to me. It was really athletically impressive.
It flowed well as well. Flowed very well. But we saw the brawl that just kind of like almost interrupted match number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, They're surely not going to carry on.
No.
As McMahon goes to discuss the Undertaker's match later in the night, he's informed that backstage the brawl continues between Helmsley and Mankind.
So at this point, do we care? Why do
Uh,
they send a camera out? Just leave them to it.
I'll be honest, this bit I quite liked. So, the cameras take us backstage where the two men are continuing their role as agents.
Oh.
Where the two men are continuing their role as agents. Continuing their...
Agents?
I know what it's done. It's misheard me. We'll try that again. The cameras take us backstage where the two men are continuing their brawl as agents and officials try to separate them. Brawl is what I heard. As agents and officials try to separate them. Face first into a school bus, which is not something you say every day, goes Helmsley, whose bleeding is more noticeable now. But before Mankind can continue, China restrains him by the arms. Mankind was just confused as to what he actually drove Helmsley's facing, because he thought, this is the longest short bus I've ever seen in my life. Because when he went to school, it was... Anyway.
Oh, God.
China restrains him by the arm so the blue blood can fire off a number of right hands to the unprotected face. Referee Jimmy Corderas eats a right hand from Helmsley, who proceeds to throw Mankind into a stack of kegs, because of course,
Why not?
outside the arena. Now,
Why leave them outside?
Why? Because
Why?
Skittles. That means nothing. That's not Taste the Rainbow, by the way. That's the old UK version of putting those pins up in your garden and throwing those coloured balls at them. Yeah. Would you call it bowling? I know we do when
No, I suppose if it's in
in the garden.
I literally had to hold myself back so much from saying that.
In garden where horses roam.
In garden. Yeah, I suppose you'd call it Skittles. Also, I was too lazy for that shit as a kid.
Fair enough.
Having to knock it down and then pick it back up again.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Do you not get one of your parents to pick it up after?
Are you joking? Absolutely not.
Okay, fine. What you got a younger sister? Why don't you get her doing the labour?
Too much of an age gap though.
Oh yeah, that'd be weird if you were
far too much of an
What's the age gap as well?
8 years.
Oh yeah, okay. So if you were fair. If you were 12 and going like to 4-year-old sister, come on, what are you doing?
No.
Yeah, it doesn't work, does it?
Didn't benefit from slave labour.
No, I mean, who did really?
No.
We're getting into territory of Vince McMahon's cowboy hat again, aren't we?
Yeah.
Now Helmsley has found a spade and breaks the handle over the back of his rival. Would it be a WWF show from this era without a Hebner taking a fall? The answer is no, as Dave Hebner is punched by the blue blood and collapses through a wooden pallet in comical fashion as always.
The best part of the whole thing.
It's always a fucking Hebner. It is always a Hebner.
We've got to do the best Hebner like mashup of
100%.
things, because there's so many so bad that they're good.
Let's get Jamie. There you go. That's Jamie's job.
God, he's gonna love that.
Yeah. So I want it to be for anyone who's in the UK or familiar with UK children's TV. There was a show in the 90s called Chucklevision. I want something similar, but Hebnervision. To me, to you. I want all this shit with just a highlight reel of them falling over at their tits.
And my favourite so far was the last one with the foot in the rope.
I quite like the one where he jumped out the ring and rolled his ankle when he wasn't supposed to and was on the floor still trying to get people to do stuff.
Oh, highlight.
And the Rock trips over him and then goes, "You all right?" Yeah. But I mean, honestly, the Hebners, the gift that keeps on giving.
Isn't it just?
I really would like to interview Hebner. I really would. I'm not so sure he'd be keen on it, though, having said that. So now on a stack of wooden boards, I couldn't quite work out what it was, if I'm honest, Helmsley attempts to deliver a pedigree, only to find himself backdropped onto the wood instead.
Shocking.
Mankind delivers a few right hands to the head before driving Helmsley face first into the side of a truck. A bloody and groggy Helmsley is pulled away from the scene as the officials may have finally gotten this matter under control. We now return to the commentary position where Vince says we may have just opened a can of whoop, you know what, before he returns to talking about The Undertaker defending the title against Vader. A video package from 2 weeks ago on Raw shows an 8-man all-out brawl between the Nation of Domination and DOA. During this fracas, Ahmed Johnson injured his knee, not surprised, which has required him to get surgery, and therefore he's being replaced in the WWF title match tonight by the man they call Vader. Vader! Yeah, well, Vader. Vader's in this one, babes.
Oh.
So, it's because you were doing...
I was going, what a shame.
What, you weren't keen on seeing Ahmed Johnson?
Not really.
No?
Don't really care.
Yeah. If you saw it written down, would you assume it's Ahmed or you think it's Ahmed Johnson?
What do you mean?
Because it's Ahmed, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd read that, and if I didn't know the person, I'd think Ahmed.
Oh, okay.
And I think giving him the gimmick of Ahmed Johnson opens up a whole world of possibilities, to be fair.
I see where you're going.
I mean, his promos are just nonsensical anyway, but fortunately we don't get any of that on
No,
here.
we don't.
But him against Undertaker, like I said, Ahmed Johnson, when he came in, they were pushing him hard. They were pushing him super hard. Breakout star of the year.
So hard that he hurt his leg.
So, yeah, in a brawl
Yeah.
that he was doing the beating on.
I know. He's been taking tips from Hebner.
Yeah, I bet he has. Yeah, he's been taking many things, I'm sure. But, yeah, so Ahmed Johnson's out. I'd been interested to see how the match looked. It wouldn't have been great.
Yeah.
But we know how I feel about Vader. He's a great big man worker. Great big man worker. So I was quite happy about this match in terms of what we could have gotten. Vince said, I still can't believe I said Vader.
That's brilliant.
Devastated. I wish I could edit it out, and I'm not going to. Vince sends us backstage where Doc Hendricks is standing behind the challenger, who is accompanied by Paul Bearer. What do you think of Ginger Paul?
No thanks.
Cool. As Vader snarls and poses while staring into the camera, Doc Hendricks asks his manager how he can live with himself after having accused The Undertaker of killing his family. Remember this, Holly?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, she remembers it. Way, come on.
The only part of this I liked was that Vader takes up 3/4 of the space, and it's like people struggle behind him to be seen. I'm like, it's fine.
That's fine. And to eclipse a man like Paul Bearer, fucking well done.
God.
Well done. Right.
Oh, okay.
I'm no oil painting, but Paul Bearer looks like a humanoid made from silly putty that was lit on fire and subsequently stamped out by a herd of buffalo. Ironically, he says the best thing he does each and every morning is look into the mirror at himself, if you know what he means. Ugly fucking... No, seriously, he's the state of it. The state of it. Great manager. When he's being interviewed, I've heard him do like shoot interviews. Fine. Yeah. But there's something, and it's good. Like, I want to punch the Play-Doh out of him. Like, it's honestly, it's great heat.
I'll be honest, I've never been a fan
of any, like...
No part of him.
Like, bad...
But I think that's, again, it's one of those... I think they're doing it well because I just...
Okay, so it's not like the X-Pac side of things where you just don't want it.
There's not many people with X-Pac heat, but...
I love the fact you know that term.
I could just do without him.
That makes my heart happy that you use the phrase X-Pac heat.
I'm so glad.
And that doesn't sound patronising at all, does it? That's great.
No, not at all.
Oh, she's doubled down. She's gone double bubble for it. Oh, okay, noted. Anyway, Holly, you can take it from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
If you're going to ask me to talk about what he says, I haven't got a clue because I was just looking at Vader the whole time.
Okay. He now flips the question and asks The Undertaker how he can look himself in the mirror, knowing that he himself is a murderer.
With his eyes.
Well, yeah, but do dead men appear in mirrors? Oh, no, it's vampires, isn't it? Sorry, I'm getting my bullshit mythology mixed up. I'm so sorry. Vader, which is fine because if he was a vampire, Vader would have won because he ate 412 garlic breads before he went into the ring. So we're fine.
Obviously.
Fine. With cheese, if you please.
Yeah,
come on.
Cool.
Come on, don't fuck about it. Vader is going to crush The Undertaker just like he did at the Royal Rumble, and the whole world is going to be able to watch it. Well, they did at the Royal Rumble as well. Anyway, interestingly, it is Bearer who instructs footage from the Royal Rumble to air, so fuck you Doc Hendricks, which I'm fine with, where we see him jump off the apron with the urn to strike the dead man. The fat blob of shit connects but then falls embarrassingly on his arsehole before connecting with the guardrail. It is fucking hilarious. Because he can't even... He's like a turtle on his back. He cannot
like
get...
Weeble.
A weeble. He's such a weeble. Yeah. He really is, isn't he? Holy shit.
You like that reference?
Yeah. Also, PC Plod comes to mind.
From Noddy?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That's right.
I was actually talking about that at work today.
Of course you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
really hard, yeah.
Yeah, well, for God's sake, don't let your boss know, Jesus. This allows Vader to connect with what?
Ooh.
Oh my God, I know what it's changed it to. This is ridiculous. I tried, and this is why I specifically try and read the line before I move on to the next one. Clearly this one got through me, because I will read what it should have been, then I'll read what it actually says. This allows Vader to connect with a Vader bomb and get the win. What it actually says, this allows Vader to connect with an available and get the win.
Ooh.
A Vader bomb, available. There you go.
We've got some enunciation in there.
You do.
For,
like, fall... it doesn't like because it puts full. So when I say pinfall, it goes painful.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, he wins with the painful.
Oh, Okay.
Yep. So these are the battles I have to have when
Yeah.
I'm orating. God, oral problems. Anyway. When the cameras return to Paul, he says deja vu and then walks out of the shot doing the finest sniff the fart acting you've ever seen until The Rock comes along in about... Well, he's there now, to be fair. It's now time for match number 3, and Holly, it is indeed Vader time.
Mm-hmm.
The Undertaker versus Vader with Paul Bearer for the WWF title. Okay. A few questions for you here, if you please.
Okay.
Firstly, thoughts on the matchup.
Yeah.
Secondly, whose corner you're in.
Yeah.
Thirdly, tell me why you didn't give a shit.
Thoughts before it even started, I literally went, oh God, snooze. Especially because all of the historic or whatever older matches we've watched with Undertaker, he's won them all. Because 9 times out of 10, they're at WrestleMania. So...
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one where we... Oh, well, no, we've seen Undertaker in a lot, actually. He might be the most frequent flyer, Miles.
But I was like, let's just be optimistic here. I know it's not going to match up to the match I just watched, but it would work in my, you know... Yeah, I know. But I was like, optimistic. Very optimistic. Do you want to...
The match-up between the two of them, both
Fine.
big guys,
Yeah,
so you're
fine
fine with
for
that?
it. I was aware that Vader was 458 pounds, which is 32, around about 32-ish stone,
Not here, I don't
according
think.
to Google Translate.
At some point, he definitely got... He turned into a big boy, but I think
I'm
that's...
sure they said on commentary 458.
But they inflate it, don't they?
Yeah, but still.
Like they say, oh, Hogan was 305
Still a
pounds.
big
He
boy.
wasn't 305 pounds.
But these two together, fine matchup, as in similar-ish building-wise.
Yep.
Might surprise you. Back to the Undertaker here.
So I back Vader because I think Vader over-delivers what he does.
Okay.
And when I look at... And this is, to me, prime Undertaker.
Okay.
This is his sweet spot.
Yeah.
In terms of his ability, I should say.
For me also, like cards on the table, I've not seen a lot of
This Undertaker.
Vader matches
okay,
either.
fine.
So, but even when I saw Taker come out, I thought, okay.
I'm trying to think.
I think it's this.
You've seen...
Yes.
He did a tag team match at Mania with Mankind as his partner, if I
Right.
remember. And I think he was in... No, he wouldn't have been in a Rumble that we've seen. Might actually be the extent of what we've seen from
Yeah,
Vader. I think
and
there was another show.
Even
Beach Blast, maybe 92?
even in like outside of this, there's even I would have seen stuff I know, won't have paid attention to it whatsoever because he doesn't interest me so much.
Wait until you see him in his pomp.
Okay.
He could legitimately do and hit a moonsault
Okay.
from the top rope. He was a good big man worker. Like, his moons... You know how Bam Bam Bigelow could do it?
Yes.
Vader's was better.
Okay.
So Vader was... The only thing Vader had against him was that he was stiff as all kinds of fuck.
Right.
Like, with those clubbing blows, like, he was actually properly cuffing people harder than he should. Some people liked it, other people didn't, and that's why Shawn Michaels hated working with him and didn't want... So when Vader came in to the WWF, the big thing at the time was because he'd been phenomenal in Japan, so
Yeah.
he was New Japan heavyweight champion. They treated him like one of the top gaijin, which is a fantastic honour at the time. Well, it still is, to be fair. He came to WWF and they thought, right, this is going to be a title feud. He's going to be working the top of the card with the likes of Michaels. Shawn went, nah, it doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for me. And they had a match that... Shawn was known for being a prick, though, backstage.
Yeah.
And if you ever hear any of Jim Cornette's interviews about what he thinks of Shawn Michael, he goes like, born-again Christian my ass, you're a piece of shit, and I'm not going to forget how you like held other people back all those years, just saying, oh, I found God, now doesn't excuse or
Right.
eradicate what you did back then. But Jim Cornette is very loud, shall we say, about his thought. Rightly so, to be fair, because it's an industry in which he made his living. Another example of Shawn not wanting to work, because I think they were supposed to have a SummerSlam match, or it was a SummerSlam match. Apologies, I can't quite remember the specifics. And I think Shawn was supposed to hit an elbow drop from the top rope, and Vader was supposed to move. Vader didn't move, so Shawn landed on his feet and went, for fuck's sake, and boom, kicked him on the top of the head. And like from that moment, Shawn was like, I'm not working with him either.
Oh.
So yeah, he kiboshed Vader's big push. Which was a shame because Vader could have done well in the WWF, I think, 'cause he did well in WCW beforehand. But another person that Shawn allegedly put the kibosh on was after the Montreal screw job. So obviously Bret has left the company. Shawn didn't want to do business with Bret, to be fair. British Bulldog left the company, went to WCW as well. One of the Hart family members didn't go, Owen. Owen stayed because of the guaranteed money. He got an increase, in fact, to stay. One of the funny stories actually about this is, in order for the British Bulldog to leave the WWF to go to WCW, he had to pay, the stories vary, between $100,000 and $150,000 to break his contract.
Yeah.
And WCW paid half of it up front and then took the other half out of his first year's earnings. And in that same time, to get Owen Hart to stay, the WWF increased his salary by $100,000.
They basically gave him
what
that
the
money.
Bulldog gave back to leave, and so there was a lot of tension in the family, because Owen Hart is considered to be, the gimmick that he kind of blossomed into was the black heart of the Hart family, and that was true in many different ways, because wrestling was the blood of the that entire family. It was the heartbeat of them. Now I'm taken to a Heartbeat, the UK TV show, but anyway, back to the point. He just wanted to make his money, retire, be with his family and his kids. So he was basically trying to save up so he could then leave, because he didn't love wrestling the same way that Bret did. It was a different animal. And that created a lot of tension between the family, to the point where, depending on who you want to believe, I think it said in Diana's book, Diana's their sister and married the British Bulldog. Now, some of the stuff she said is unbelievable in the book, so take it with a pinch of salt, because a lot of it I think is bollocks. That Bret basically said, because of what you've done, I will never view you as a brother again. How true that is, I don't know, because I don't think Bret said I'm trying to remember back in my mental archives when I read Bret's book. I know he was annoyed at the time, but he certainly didn't make out that their relationship was anywhere near that. But then again, you wouldn't want to either necessarily confirm it, even if that was the case. So, as with everything, the truth probably lies somewhere between the two.
There's always three sides, isn't there?
Oh, there is, yeah, exactly that. And in wrestling, there's often like 6, 7,
true.
so like 6 sides, and that's just in a TNA ring. But yeah, back to the matter at hand. Vader's getting a title match, but it's against another big man. So he could probably do more in these circumstances, actually, because he can do high-flying stuff, relatively speaking, and Undertaker can do a few bits and pieces that's relatively high-flying as well. And I've said it once, and I'll say it again. I absolutely love the Vader entrance. From the look, to the music, to the aura, everything hits home run, in my opinion. It's just, I don't know what it is. I just look at him and go, you're fucking trouble. Like, you are, I can't put my finger on it. He's got the je ne sais quoi. The it factor to me. I know he doesn't to you, but I'm hoping that when we see more of his work, you might maybe not feel the same way, but kind of warm up to him a little bit. Paul Bearer initially has a slight look of Paul Heyman in the way he carries himself upon entering the arena, with the way he's kind of holding his breastcoats and walking, and he's got that kind of swagger about him. That soon dissipates as he signals back to his man, the Mastodon Vader. The lights flash red in a darkened arena as the challenger poses, staring at the hard camera. But you want to talk about aura, Holly? Perhaps there is no greater than that of The Undertaker. The gong sounds, the lights in the arena go out as the Dead Man's music and entrance video begin to play. Holly's thinking, I can make 4 rounds of golf by the time he makes it to the ring, so I've got time. I'll go get a drink. Can't have a Freddo bar.
No.
Other chocolate is available.
No.
Did you go up and get a drink when you saw The Undertaker coming to the ring?
No, I didn't actually.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, wow. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's probably his shortest entrance as well, to be fair.
It is.
Holly, what are you expecting from this match between two big competitors? Do you think it was going to be like a punch-kick affair?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting too much, considering the match we'd had before it gave everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did think that would be like a semi-slice of the pie chart compared.
A come down.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Undertaker climbs the stairs and stands behind the ring post before he raises his arms, and an explosion is heard in the arena as the lights come back on. Now, this I don't like, as Vader looks like he shits himself at the explosion and has a look of concern as he darts his gaze around the ring and is clearly seen mouthing, "What the fuck was that?"
Yep.
McMahon says there has never been anything like this and there never will be again when referring to The Undertaker. JR questions what kind of mindset The Undertaker is going into this match because of the accusations of familial murder and all that stuff.
Sure.
The cameras show us Paul Bearer cowering behind the ring apron in order to avoid the gaze of his former charge.
You can piss off.
Yeah, you have a job. I don't think it can cover you, mate. The Undertaker hands the title to Tim White, and when the bell sounds, quickly delivers a kick to the challenger, and we are underway. Big right hands to the dome of Vader, and he's backed into a corner where the dead man can drive a series of knees to the midsection. Whip and clothesline drops Vader, and a leg drop connects quickly thereafter. Quick cover, but not enough for 2. Arm wringer and shoulder block by the dead man, who now whips Vader into the buckles and follows in with a huge splash. Lazy cover only gets 2, and the ref shouldn't have counted as Vader was already under the ropes.
True.
At ringside, Bearer is biting his knuckles like Andre the Giant has just given him an oil check, which shows exactly how concerned he is for the big man. Back to the arm wringer by Undertaker, and here we fucking go. He climbs to the top rope, walks along, and connects with Old School. At least he didn't shout, "Old School!" when he's doing it.
And it wasn't too long.
No, it wasn't, but it was early in the match.
Yes.
Another cover, another 2 count. JR says you have to give credit to Vader for kicking out, and he goes on to claim that the challenger has already shown how tough he is by dominating the competition in Japan prior to joining the WWF. True. Face first into the buckles goes Vader, and he gets whips hard into the buckles. Well, that's just poor English. But returns with a stonewall body check, dropping the champion. I always like that.
Yeah.
Just like, no, fuck you, you're going down. Boom. Great. The dead man sits up, but Vader is quickly on him, throwing punches to the gut. Whip sees Undertaker duck a clothesline, and he connects with a jumping variant of his own. Cover, gets another near fall.
His flying clothesline, or whatever it's called,
Yep.
always makes me a little bit nervous that he's going to end
Land
up
on his head.
somehow over, like arse over tit, because he goes at such a weird
He
angle.
jumps up, but then looks like he's kind of like torpedoing
Yeah.
himself down into the ground. Yeah.
Bizarre.
He kind of jumps up, connects, and then rolls to the side as he's
Yeah.
coming down. You want to see the ugliest bump, one of the ugliest bumps I think we'll ever see. It's part of the WrestleMania journey, and we are 4 WrestleManias away from seeing it
Okay.
against Batista.
Yeah.
You might have seen footage of it where he sails over the top rope to try and land on Batista, but Batista moves a cameraman into the way who isn't there in time, and Undertaker leaps over the top rope, head dives to the floor, and last second rolls his neck. Literally, you look at it and you go, he's going to die. Like, you think he's going to die. It's horrendous.
Oh,
He was actually relatively okay, considering, and the cameraman you feel bad for, but Batista moved him and doesn't let him go there. So the cameraman tries to move forward to catch him, but he's not in the right spot. So
Lord.
imagine being the one to go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to catch the Undertaker, I let him die.
Oh my God, that would be... yeah.
Remained undefeated though.
Wow.
Yeah. Just couldn't defeat the cameraman. But yeah, so look forward to that. You'll forget
Great.
between now and
Of
then.
course I will.
Yeah, but it's genuinely horrendous. Stiff punches to the face by Vader, who applies a side headlock, and thanks to his sheer size, he powers the dead man down to one knee. JR says that Vader has held many titles around the world and that he came here to the WWF to hunt with the big dogs, Roman Reigns, and win a championship belt. Undertaker pushes off, but the challenger levels him with a shoulder tackle. Dropped down by the Undertaker, who misses with a clothesline but scores with a big boot. A second big boot sends Vader over the top rope and down to the floor. On the outside, the dead man scores with a punch and a headbutt, but his whip is reversed and he hits the steel stairs hard, knees first.
I don't like that.
No?
No.
As the challenger returns to the ring, Bearer gives the softest kick to the champion and then messes his hair slightly. What a sack of shit.
Just stop.
Oh, I wish he would. As he walks away, he's heard muttering, "Murderer! Murderer!"
He just has... I understand... Oh, this is maybe fat shaming.
Best jowls
so I
in
do
wrestling.
feel bad.
Best jowls in wrestling.
But he just reminds me of the Fat Controller from Thomas Tank Engine.
Oh, shit.
Like, he's got that
Oh,
body
shit.
shape, you know?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, but...
It's true
yeah.
though, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's fine because I'm not attacking... It's weird, we're attacking the character. We're not going,
It's just...
this man outside of wrestling. I wouldn't go up to him and go, oh, you're a fat blob of shit.
No.
But as a wrestler, in that world,
If you're putting yourself out there, you're putting yourself out there for stuff like this. So
Yeah.
Tough.
yeah, I mean, the neck. It's
What
just...
neck?
I love when a neck
His
beats
chin
the chin.
goes into his chest. There is no...
He's a thumb. He's a thumb of a man. Absolute thumb of a man. Anyway, back to the match. With Undertaker on the apron, Vader looks to take advantage, but finds himself guillotined over the top rope. From the top rope, the dead man connects with a flying clothesline, another cover, another near fall. Stiff shots to the ample gut of Vader, and a big uppercut sends the Mastodon over the top rope to the outside. Now the dead man shifts his focus to his former manager and stalks him around the ring until Vader clotheslines him from behind. It amazes me that one of two things happen. It's like a classic wrestling trope. Like Mankind did with China, slowly stalk around the ring, Undertaker slowly stalk around the ring, or they full on run, the manager rolls into the ring, not happening with old biscuit tits.
No.
And then, so as soon as they do, he rolls over in the ring and then gets attacked by the other person.
It's like they've never watched wrestling.
I know. Why am I getting emotional about
Look
this?
behind you. It's
Such
like a pantomime.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And, I mean, we don't have Widow Twanky, but with fucking Paul Bearer, we have Widow Wanky in here. Now the dead man, you can have that one free, by the way. Vader clotheslines him from behind. Bearer removes one of his shoes, like he's a Latino mother, and clubs the downed Undertaker in the head. What's it they call? Because they make a whole thing with the, or they call it flip-flops, thongs, whatever.
Tried to work this out before.
What are they called?
What, the slop would...
Slopples?
What do you mean?
Like, we call them flip-flops.
Yeah.
They call them sandals.
What, in America?
Yeah, what do they call them?
Yeah.
But thongs in...
It's Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, but they call it something specific. Like, 'cause I remember Zelina Vega was making a whole thing when they did Backlash in Puerto Rico, and she...
Oh, I don't know. I don't listen.
Hit them. But apparently, that's like a stereotypical South American mother thing to kind of hit your kid. Should we celebrate? Is that something to be celebrated? Like, what about if we take the belts off and then we just... Oh, yeah, because we beat our kids with this.
God.
Battle of the belt against the shoe.
Well.
Anyway, we'll move over to something more light-hearted like this match. After he batters the Undertaker in the head before smugly walking away towards the camera. The action returns to the ring where Vader proceeds to land clubbing blows to the side of the champion's head until he wilts against the buckles. Short-armed southpaw clothesline puts Undertaker down. Vader ascends to the middle rope where he connects with a clothesline, putting the dead man back on the canvas. Cover only gets a near fall. Bearer asks the referee if he can count to 3 before Vader connects with a suplex and follows it with a running splash that gets a count of 2. Upsettingly for Holly, the dreaded trap hold is applied, and it is a long one.
This is that I'm tired, I need a rest.
But he doesn't even look that tired.
No, he doesn't, but it's annoying.
Yeah, that's fair. The crowd begin to rally behind the champion, who throws a series of punches to the gut of Vader before an uppercut has him reeling into the buckles.
Honestly, even now, it just annoys me, because it's not even like the camera looks at Taker and he's just sat there. It's like,
And Vader's not even breathing heavy. He's going,
yeah, just having a little rest.
That's it, yeah.
Lazy fucks.
Lazy fucks. Meanwhile, Paul Bearer's going, whoa, trap hold, calm down, guys. That's too much motion.
He's tired just watching.
Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, poke to the eye by the challenger, and a clothesline. Big man doing a poke to the eye.
Boring.
And a clothesline puts the Undertaker back down. With the dead man now backed into the corner, Vader resumes landing clubbing blows to the head and body. But Taker fires back. He blocks a right hand and uncorks a few of his own. Vader's in trouble as the champion grabbed him by the neck, but he manages to escape thanks to a blatant kick to the groin, which leaves both myself and commentary wondering why the referee did not disqualify him, given it was in plain sight.
Yeah. I can't. It just annoys me too much.
Bearer encourages him to finish this one off, and the Mastodon charges right into being scooped into the air and onto the shoulder of the champion. But the weight is simply too much, and Vader reverses position but cannot stand, and they subsequently roll all the way through until Taker is in a pinning position where he gets a 2 count. That's fine, because they couldn't work what they wanted to do.
Nope.
Fine recovery. Vince begins filling in where there is a gap in the action by saying that The Undertaker is live in Canada. But that isn't correct. He's the dead man, and therefore he is alive nowhere. Dad joke? Good?
Yeah.
No, you can have that. It's fine. I know you like them. You're trying to be, I'm too cool to love that dad. You love a dad joke.
Not cool. I do love a dad joke. I'm not cool.
But that wasn't a good dad joke. Fine. Point taken. I will cry and write in my diary later.
No, you cry on the inside like a winner.
Yes.
We talked about this.
Yes, we did. We did, as I was crying on the outside like a bitch. Vader gets whipped into the buckles but connects with a back elbow that staggers the champion before he stonewalls him down to the canvas. Elbow drop to the inner thigh, and the crowd begins stirring as Vader slowly makes his way to the second rope. Vader takes too long, bouncing like a dog that's trying to fuck a stuffed animal, and that allows Undertaker to return to his feet and punch the masked man right in the plums.
But why? What are you fucking doing?
Get the momentum to jump off.
Oh, just honestly, I can't. This did start, as you can tell, this did start to wind me up.
No, never.
Shocking.
What is good for the goose is good for the gander. With a hand around his throat, Undertaker chokeslams Vader from the second rope and makes the cover for the 1, 2, no.
Oh.
In the nick of time, Vader slips his shoulder off the canvas and Holly was ecstatic this match carried on.
Yay.
Bearer looks moments away from having coronary on the outside as he puts his KFC order in as he pats the sweat away from with his handkerchief.
He's just put his shoe back on.
He
That's
has,
all.
yeah. Oh, Undertaker! That's almost sounded like Minnie Mouse at one point there.
Yeah.
It was weird. Very strange, wasn't it? I don't know what happened there. Undertaker grabs Vader by the throat once more and connects with a second chokeslam. Hook of the leg for the 1, 2, no! Again, the Mastodon kicks out.
Why?
The champion signals the end is near by running his thumb against his throat.
Good.
Incredibly, as Vader runs up to him, the Undertaker scoops him up and delivers a tombstone pile driver. That's fucking impressive on a man that size.
It is, and it's the first time that I didn't go, oh no. I was like, yeah, fine, do it.
Drop him on his
I
head.
don't care.
Yeah.
Make it stop.
Hands on the chest, and we get the 1, 2, 3. This one is over as The Undertaker retains the WWF title by pinfall.
Mm-hmm.
The dead man celebrates with title in hand on one knee as the lights in the arena dim. Holly, what were your thoughts on the match?
Up until the last couple of minutes, I was fine with it. The last couple of minutes just bored me. I was done for it. That was it.
Okay.
So I gave it a 2.5.
Fuck off. This
What?
is ridiculous.
Are you done 2.5?
2.5.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't overly fussed about it because neither of them specifically entertained me.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't give it any lower because they're both big guys, and actually it was fairly impressive.
Yeah, I thought, to be fair, it's quite decent.
Just a little boring at the end.
Yeah, that you have to let Vader's low blow go if Undertaker's going to punch him in the plums later, so it's 1 for 1, fine. Yeah, again, I didn't hate this at all. I didn't think it was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, perfectly serviceable.
Yeah,
perfectly
fine.
serviceable. So yeah, as said, I gave it 2.5 stars as well. Is
my
this the
God.
first show we're going to go 4 for 4? I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think we will.
I'm not sure about the end one, you know.
No, I'm not either. So I guess we'll find out because we're nearly there. It's nearly main event time.
Oh.
With the title match now in the books, we head to a shot of outside the arena as Vince McMahon discusses the popularity of the entire Hart family in the Calgary area. Much to Holly's delight, we revisit the same shots of the fans queuing for Bret Hart that we saw earlier in the show before we return back to the commentary position.
If it was such a big thing, record more than one shot.
True.
It's because you lie.
It's because you lie. A mile long.
No, that's just the same person, like every 10...
You're with like different
every 10
disguises.
seconds,
Yeah, brilliant. McMahon now shifts the focus to the upcoming tag team match and what has led us to this position. Footage, which is weird again because they go to people that aren't involved at all.
Thank you, because that was very confusing.
Because when they said a tag team match, I was like, oh, there's something before the main event. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then I was like, oh, okay, DOA and the Nation. Okay, so it's going to be something here. And then it just, partway through, went, yeah, but fuck that. Here's this.
It was really confusing.
Very strange. I think that again, WWF got into this mindset in this era of, and he said race wars, but that's not what I mean, like gang warfare. So there was like Los Boricuas,
All the
there
different
was
like factions.
the Hart Foundation, DOA, Nation of Domination, later D-Generation X. Like they loved all this kind of stuff, and it was a big thing at the time. But the transition of it didn't make sense. So it's like, look at all this excitement we've got
What
going
you could have
on.
won.
But again, they can get fucked. Here's our attention. It just doesn't seem. It didn't flow.
Didn't really understand it.
Footage of DOA heading down to the ring on motorbikes has me thinking that The Undertaker was definitely making notes for future gimmick ideas on this. Crush, having formerly been a member of the Nation of Domination, confronts the leader Farouk. He says that he and DOA ride together and damn sure fight together as an all-out brawl breaks out. This now becomes... What's your face telling me a story there?
It's just when you talk about it, it just again confuses me even more because why?
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't needed.
This now becomes somewhat more confusing as Los Boricuas make their way to the ring in a separate brawl, and we also see the competitors from the main event having their own brawl. I know for a fact Holly could not be more confused.
You are correct.
Apparently,
You
though...
should have seen my face when I was watching this. I was like, what is going on? And I paused it thinking, there's actually quite a long time left, so maybe there is something before this that
That's
I don't know
why
about.
I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
Alas, there was not.
No. Apparently, though, all these feuds pale in comparison to the one between Stone Cold and Bret Hart. Stone Cold will now have his opportunity to lead his team to victory against the Hart Foundation with his little beautiful shaven head, baby blue eyes, well-trimmed goatee and great physique. Sorry, I was just reading Holly's notes there. Now I'll go back to mine.
Shut up.
Brett, and I've done it with 2 T's here because of the audio stuff, takes a moment in the ring to insult the US fans for cheering for scum like Goldust, Austin, Shamrock and the Legion of Doom.
Oh dear.
Brett says they will pound them into the dirt, which is nothing more than what they deserve. That wasn't a euphemism. Gonna pound you in the dirt. Hello.
God.
Well, Friday night. The footage of continued out-and-out fights rages on, and I would be surprised if Holly hasn't given up on her notes for this period.
Yep.
I know you.
Did.
I know you so
did.
well.
But you know what happened is it made me panic because I thought if the main event in quotations is going to be like this, I am absolutely buggered.
Yep.
What was it? What? I used the right word. Right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just went elsewhere with it.
Oh, okay.
Doc suggests that despite I'll be honest, when I realised it was 5-on-5, I thought your notes might be fucked. My notes will be fucked.
Yeah.
It will turn whatever is actually happening into 4 times the length, which is just not the one.
Yeah, no.
Fortunately, that wasn't the case. The footage of continued out-and-out fights rages on, and I'll be giving up on the notes. We now go backstage to the interview area where Doc Hendricks is standing beside Team USA. Doc suggests that despite who is on the team, they could well be considered the underdogs on this night. Goldust says that he tried to play peacemaker, but the Hearts wanted to Clint Eastwood this thing, so the team that has been assembled before you are suited to doing just that.
Okay.
Except for you.
He is definitely
The oddball.
the odd one out in this little collab.
Imagine if
say.
he'd been electrocuted and had that stutter like a yeah as he was talking to them. That would have been great. That would have been great. But anyway, we're here with Doc Hendricks. The microphone now gets passed toward Ken Shamrock, who sadly cuts a very lackluster promo saying that he's entered his zone and is used to fighting in unfriendly and unfamiliar territories. Although I'm pretty sure he said I'm used to fighting in friendly zones.
When I enter my zone, it's time to get it on. But he does it
Cool.
so deadpan.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I don't care because I'd rather listen to him than what happens next.
Brace yourself.
Do people need to turn volumes down for this?
No, probably not.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see. Classic shouting promo from the LOD as Animal says that Bret Hart can BS all of the fans out there, but this match has nothing to do with the US versus Canada. This is simply a case of survival of the fittest. Hawk has only one thing to say. Rush. Well,
It's so annoying.
that's how he does it, though, isn't it?
I know.
And that is what you call a throat fuck right
Yeah.
there. That's like
Very well done, though.
Thank you. The ones that I lost, the beginning bit wasn't great, but the rest was fine. The ones that fuck my voice the most, that and Savage.
Is it?
Savage really
Really?
fucks the voice because you have to kind of hit the same
You've got to
guttural.
reverberate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If my voice was naturally deeper,
Mm-hmm.
it would be an easier reach, but I really have to go to the
see.
depths for it. But anyway,
It's all right. At least Stone Cold doesn't say anything, so you don't have to.
well, goddamn, he's okay actually.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a good impression.
Well, he
but
just walks off, so.
yeah, that was fantastic, like
Yeah.
genuinely fantastic. So before the microphone can head its way towards Stone Cold, he walks out of shot, and the rest of the team follow like good, well-behaved boys.
Yeah.
We now return to ringside, where Howard Finkel introduces here to sing the Canadian national anthem from Vancouver, British Columbia, Farmer's Daughter. What? I was like, Father's Daughter? What did you say? Rewind. Farmer's Daughter. Google. Oh, yeah, that is them. Yeah. Okay, I did hear that right. I expected Hillbilly Jim and Uncle Elmer to start fucking dancing around.
Right.
Uncle Elmer?
Well.
What was it? Cousin Fucker Luke. What was it? The other one
guy
called?
with no shoes.
Yeah. Cousin. No, it wasn't Cousin. It was Cousin something. Junior. Cousin Junior.
That's it.
Cousin Fucker Luke. Not quite. But
It's been a while since we've had an anthem.
An anthem?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, true, yeah. And I've got thoughts on
At
it.
least I can kind of sing.
Yeah. Yes. Has to be said, the group harmonise very well, but to me, this serves little in the grand scheme of the show. But I do get that it was done to rally the fans into supporting the Hart Foundation, but I don't think they needed the encouragement. It's to kind of get the patriotism up. But it wasn't like a powerful version of it to kind of go, yeah, like when you got Lillian Garcia going, like fucking belting it, you go, yeah, I imagine, not being an American, but I imagine that's the case. Whereas, like, you don't do that with the English or the British national anthem. You never go, yeah, I'm ready for this afterwards. And I felt the same about the Canadian one here. So, I don't know. Okay. I don't feel like it offered much. What did you think?
It's all right. It came and went.
Fair enough. Such is life.
Isn't it?
Such is
But
life.
it wasn't the worst I've heard, that's for sure, at least.
Mean Gene. Come on, everybody. WrestleMania 1.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Or what was the... Rockin' Robin. Not Rockin' Robin. Is it Rockin' Robin?
I'm sure it was,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm thinking...
That was
No.
dire.
No, that's a Michael Jackson song.
Yeah, but I'm sure it was...
It's her name. No, it's
I'm sure.
Rockin' Robin. Okay, either way, fuck it. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't know why I've had a
dire.
blind spot there. That's mad.
Welcome to my life.
I'm in the Holly Haze. I'm in the Holly Haze. There's a t-shirt. I wonder what would be the logo for that, actually. There's got to be some sort of image rather than just words. I dread to think, actually, but one to think about another point in time. Cowboy Howard Finkel would now like to acknowledge some distinguished guests at ringside. First of all, Ralph Klein, who's the premier in the province of Alberta and had actually ties to the Hart family, who helped him get into that position and did, well, when I say get him into that position, did a load of promotional work with him and the like. So, yeah, they got ties there. Alongside him is the patriarch and matriarch, respectively, of the Hart family, Stu and Helen Hart. Standing beside Stu is his son Bruce, who raises his dad's hand in the air upon his name being announced, and the crowd go wild, which is why I gave you the backstory about what Stu Hart means in that area.
Agree, makes sense.
Great reception for the Alberta legend. It's main event time, Holly.
Isn't it just?
Goldust, Ken Shamrock, Legion of Doom, and Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, Owen Hart, the British Bulldog, and Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
Before we get started, Holly, what were your thoughts and expectations going into this one?
Quite high. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Which I hate when that happens. I hate it when it happens. In life, in wrestling, in everything.
Amen, sister.
So, yeah. But I thought the list of names, there's some in there that I'm not so fussed about. But, you know, some good names in there. I thought, I'm in for a little treat here.
Okay. So, whose side were you on? And tell me why it was Stone Cold's.
How do you know? I mean, come
I have
on.
no idea
Come
how I
on.
know.
But also, Stone Cold, Shamrock, come on.
The Tiny Pants Union.
Tiny Pants Man.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why
Bret Hart's a good-looking bloke.
Yeah, I'm sure we've talked about this before. He's not unattractive at all by any means. But to me, I don't look at him and go, phew,
Yeah, I don't
he's hot.
I don't
and
think
no
that...
one else on that team either.
Owen Hart, I don't think is a good-looking guy. Again, not ugly, but
Out
I
of
wouldn't say good-looking.
All of them, I would say the most attractive is the British Bulldog.
No, Bret.
But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'd if I, okay, right, I'm ranking them now.
Okay.
So who else? Oh, Brian Pillman pushes him close. You know,
Yeah, it's not unattractive. I'd put him next.
I put
Brett would be third.
I'd do Pillman. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah,
I'd do
alright, why
Pillman.
not?
Yeah, show him a ruddy good time. Pillman, Hart,
Which one?
Pillman first. Oh yeah, sorry, I was like Pillman. Yeah, Pillman, Bret Hart.
Yes.
Well, Jim Anvil's the boot end of that. I know that. So he's the other end, and then Bulldog, Owen,
Okay.
Neidhart. I
Yeah.
think is what I go for. I'm going to now do it. Equal opportunist. I'm going to do the other
team.
side.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd give Stone Cold a
Would
little
you?
nosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Especially looking like this. My
Yeah,
God.
he's in peak form.
Jesus.
And then Shamrock again, Goldust.
Absolutely.
Oh, Animal then Hawk. Although it's hard because their haircuts are shit. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
That's
but
probably the order.
That is the same order I would do.
Yeah, so there we go. So line them up, boys. I'm ready to rock and roll.
It's your turn for the drone.
Am I giving? Because I'm not imagining. I don't know what's worse. No, I do. No, I know which one's worse.
Absolutely.
Yes, and it would be the version that you would have to do, unfortunately. Well, I guess you could peg them, but I don't think you'd really want to do that. Is that what you wanted for this one, by the way, Keith? Just to check. Just wanted to double check in at this point where I'm talking about pegging dead wrestlers. Yeah, good.
All of them.
All copacetic. Right.
Okay.
Back to the actual action.
Yes.
Although I like these segues because it always amuses me. I don't care about anyone else, actually. It amuses me, and that's the main thing. Out first is Goldust, in many ways, I guess, who is resoundingly booed by those in attendance. Next out is Ken Shamrock, and not only does Holly cheer, the fans give him more of a positive reception than a negative one, which is surprising. Out next are the Legion of Doom, who are a team that are very difficult to dislike, and understandably the crowd give them a positive reception as well. Mm-hmm. Last but not least is the team captain who matches. Fucking it does say matches. Last but not least is the team captain who marches his way down to the ring, bad-mouthing the fans. Dripping wet, and I'm talking about Austin, not just my co-host. Out first, representing the Hart Foundation, is the loose cannon, Brian Pillman, who gets one hell of a reception. You're right.
You can't say stuff like that.
Say what?
Stop. You can't. You can't.
Turns out I just did. I think you're fine.
Outrageous.
Sorry, you get to fire bullets back. It's not a one-way street.
I know.
Last but not least is the team. I've already done this. I don't need to read the dripping wet comment again. Out first, representing the Hart Foundation, is the loose cannon Brian Pillman, who gets one hell of a reception from the fans. You notice that the Americans, or Team USA, however you want to call them, all walk down to the ring individually.
Yes.
The Hart Foundation stayed on the top of the entryway until they were all there, and then they marched down as a unit. Oh dear. Next is Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who shares a high 10 with Pillman at the top of the aisleway. Alongside his wife, the alleged Mrs. Calgary, is Diane Hart, is the British Bulldog, who, like the two men before him, also receives a great reaction. The Bulldog is sporting his relatively newly won European title, and moments later, out comes Owen Hart with his 2 Slammy Awards in hand.
I like you just carries them round. I think it's great.
There is a pregnant pause before the team captain, Bret the Hitman Hart, makes his way out to join the rest of his family. After pausing for a moment, not just a hiccup, all 5 men begin making their way down the aisle, and so the battle... After pausing for a moment, all 5 men begin making their way down the aisle to the battle that lay ahead. Sure. In a nice twist on the usual procedure, Bret presents his sunglasses to his own mother.
Why? I'm sure she's got like 40 of them.
Well, she's got the corrective
and they're
lenses.
also signed. Why? It's your mother.
All right.
It did. I don't know why it annoyed me.
I thought it was
really
a nice
did.
little touch.
If they weren't signed, I think what annoyed me before this is he walks down to the ring with them on his face, but like above his eyes.
Yes.
Like over his eyebrows.
Yeah, because you probably can't see properly through them.
What are you doing? Either put them on or take them off.
Imagine being the kid near them going, oh, it's going to be me.
Yeah.
Your mum.
Your bloody mother.
Yeah, bloody
and
mother.
Signed. What's the point?
Put it on his head. What's going on?
I am hopeful that she got them and then took them off and gave them to someone else.
I hope she just ripped them up. She ripped them up.
She took them home,
threw them down.
Bin.
Yeah, exactly. I've got fucking loads
so
of these.
So many of these laying around this house.
Bret, I can't keep putting this shit up on the fridge, mate. Okay? Right, I've got enough. Okay. All 10 men now stand in the ring and go face to face, having paired off. The calm before the storm. The commentary team debate who will blink first in this stare down. With 8 of the men having disengaged, we are left with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart in the middle of the ring exchanging words. Bret amuses me as he places his 2 thumbs in an imaginary belt that he isn't wearing. Because he always does that with jeans. Whenever he's doing a promo, it's thumbs in the pockets and he's talking... And he doesn't have that facility there, but he's still trying to do it.
He did it and then went, oh crap, I can't.
Got to commit now.
I've got to stay here.
Because he didn't know what to do with his hands, which I thought was amazing. There's a pregnant pause before the team captain, Bret the Hitman Hart, makes his way out. No, fuck me, I'm miles behind. Where we go? Okay, the bell sounds and immediately Austin and Bret exchange furious right hands. The Hitman gets the better of the exchange and Austin is backed in a corner, continuing to take a torrent of big punches to the face. Now Bret is stomping a mud hole and walking it dry, I dare say, in the rattlesnake. The crowd are at absolute fever pitch, and King says the building is shaking, which normally you would attribute to hyperbole, but perhaps not on this occasion. Austin switches position and puts Hart in the corner, where he unloads with right hands before flipping off the crowd and continuing the beatdown. Whip to the buckles, but the Hitman rebounds out and drops Stone Cold with a clothesline. Headbutt puts Austin back down to the canvas, and he follows up with an inverted atomic drop and another clothesline. eye rake across the top rope, but the Hitman's momentum is cut off courtesy of a deep low blow thanks to the boot of Austin.
And this was just a normal...
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a no-holds-barred
No, it
street
wasn't,
fight.
was it?
No.
Okay.
Stone Cold laughs out towards the crowd before raking the laces of his boots across the eyes, and now it's his turn to stomp a mud hole in the Canadian. $1 Million Dream applied, which you may recall, Holly, was his finishing move when he worked as the ringmaster.
Oh my God, yeah.
Brett uses his feet to climb up the buckles, much like he did against Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 8, 6, 8,
5,
6,
4,
8,
3, 2,
8,
1.
8. I think it was 8. Where he won the Intercontinental title from him in a match that I loved. But it's fine. We don't need to go back over that. And pushes off, trapping Austin to the canvas in a pin, which I always think looks great, and earns him a near fall. I assume you weren't thinking this was an elimination match either.
A little part of my brain did wander.
Because that's kind of Survivor Series-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and then I realised very quickly, no, that was not what
based on how long was left and how many men were in there. Unless they're going, you're out, you're out, you're out, done.
I did think, they could do, but...
Which
no.
would have been crap.
Mm-hmm.
Austin chokes him over the middle rope, but misses with a running leg guillotine and crotches himself instead. Tag made to Neidhart, who kicks Austin in the ribs. Whip sees Stone Cold duck a clothesline and connects with a Thez press, where he unloads with mounted rights upon landing. Now the most dangerous man in the world is the legal man, and he and Neidhart slowly circle one another before engaging. Roundhouse kick to the head is ducked, and the Anvil begins laughing, but Shamrock fakes him out, causing him to lift his leg, and he connects with a big kick to the spine. Ankle lock is applied, but not for long, as Pillman runs in to break up the hold, and the crowd cheer.
This guy.
Pillman?
This guy.
Oh, Pillman's good. He's a loose cannon.
Mm.
I told you how he ended up in the WWF, didn't I?
I'm pretty sure.
It was a brilliant move. He was livid with how he was being used in WCW. Not that he wasn't being well paid, but they were just giving him absolutely nothing. And he started kind of developing the early stages of this loose cannon gimmick, which he has here. And as part of his discussion with, it would have been Bischoff, I believe, at the time, he said, let me go and do something else and pretend like I've just decided to go against the contract. And I'll go work in ECW, which he did. He made a few appearances in ECW. And he said, but to really set this off, actually cancel my contract. Okay. Went to ECW. WWF offered him a contract. Went, thank you very much. Nice. So he got out of his contract without having to pay a forfeiture fee.
Clever.
Went to ECW for a little bit and then got called up to the WWF.
Great.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Arm drag takedown into an arm lock by Shamrock. When they return to their feet, the Anvil breaks free with forearms, but his hip toss attempt from a whip is blocked, and Shamrock turns it into a leg lock position. Very nice, like a leg lace that he took him down with. Back to square one as the two men stare at each other. Two men stare at each other down, and now Pillman is the legal man. Arm drag by Shamrock once more, but Pillman backs himself into the buckles and claims to the referee that his hair is being pulled, which is what he is actually doing to himself. And as the official closes, and he manages to get a cheap shot in on Ken. Several eye rakes by Pillman to the world's most dangerous man, and now he fires off a succession of meaty chops from the loose cannon's butcher's counter.
This is another cross on this man's list.
You've seen him in other stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay,
And
cool.
it annoyed me.
Corner whip into the backbreaker, and Pillman, instead of making a cover, grabs Shamrock's wrist and taps it on the mat 3 times, mockingly saying, "He taps out." I thought that was good.
That I liked.
Tick.
Yeah, that I liked.
Okay,
yeah.
fine. Before mounting and slapping him. Brave man.
Very brave.
Second corner whip sees Shamrock rebound out and drop the loose cannon with a clothesline. A few choice right hands before a belly-to-belly suplex connect. Now Pillman crawls and tags in the Intercontinental Champion, Owen Hart, who is facing off against Goldust. He wasn't the Intercontinental Champion, was he? I thought he was Tag Team Champion. Either way, don't care. Collar and elbow tie-up sees the Bizarre One backed into the corner. The crowd chant Owen's name as he unloads with right hands, but his whip is reversed and he hits the buckles hard before running into a back body drop. He throws a kick which Goldust catches before following through with an enziguri. Also, by the way, I couldn't even tell you what word it tries to come out with when you say enziguri, so I just typed that. Goldust as well. Goldust. No. So I never said his name. I typed it.
When I do my notes for Goldust,
Yeah.
I just do gold.
I should really be taking the notes from you of how you do that. Hook of the leg gets a 2 count. They lock up once more, but Goldust goes straight for the eyes before introducing Owen's face to the turnbuckles. Sesame Street punches in the corner from the Bizarre One, who now makes the tag to Hawk. Well, gut wrench suplex and leg drop find their mark, but a lazy cover only gets a count of 2. Body slam and leaping fist drop land, and now Hawk climbs to the top rope where he scores with a big splash that earns him a near fall. Whip sends Owen to the ropes, but he hangs on and avoids the drop kick before locking in the sharpshooter. The hold is only in place for a moment before Animal breaks it up. Bulldog is tagged in and he hits an always impressive delayed vertical suplex on Hawk. Really good.
Always.
Really good. Bulldog now scoops Hawk up and connects with a running power slam that would have gotten 3 were it not broken up by Goldust. Hawk makes the tag to Animal, and back in the ring, the team... What? No, okay, no. Hawk makes the tag to Animal, and back in the ring for Team Heart is the Hitman. They lock up and Brett finds himself backed into the buckles due to Animal's strength advantage. Now the tag team specialist drives his shoulder into the midsection of Brett before whipping him across into the buckles. He runs right into a knee to the face, and the Hitman clotheslines him down to the canvas with force. Back into the match comes Goldust, who crouches in the middle to try and do some sort of psych out, but a Greco-Roman knuckle lock is swiftly broken thanks to a kick from the Hitman. Goldust hugs onto the leg, but finds an elbow driven down into the nape of his neck. In the wrong part of town, the Bizarre One is hung in the Tree of Woe as everyone in the Hart Foundation begins to unload with kicks and punches, which I liked. At this stage of the match, we're going to take a pause. How was this going the way you thought it was? Did you think it was less chaotic? Were you happy with it?
Yeah,
sad
it was
with it?
definitely less chaotic than I thought it would be. Thank God. So I was a bit concerned. But no, I was okay so far. I was...
Fine.
Yeah.
Team USA now enter the melee, and this is running the risk of turning into all-out chaos. Vince calls on commentary, Goldust pummeled by 5 men. But I thought that was a good night for the man in gold. Holly is nodding in agreement.
Oh my God.
Backbreaker.
No.
You were okay, fine. Sorry, I must have misinterpreted what I saw. Backbreaker from Owen Hart, and he whips Goldust into the buckles. Oh no, 5 guys. I was thinking about burgers.
Oh,
Sorry,
I see. Right, yeah.
I haven't had 5 guys in ages, actually. Backbreaker from Owen Hart, and he whips Goldust into the buckles, but misses on the shoulder charge and connects directly with the ring post. Animal tagged back in, and he stomps away on the Black Heart, but Owen ducks a clothesline off a whip and connects with a spinning heel kick. Up to the top rope goes Owen, and he scores with a missile drop kick before kipping back to his feet and pumping his fist to the crowd. Animal reverses a whip and catches Owen in a Hurricane Runner attempt before powerbombing him down to the canvas. Power slam off a whip, and now he signals Hawk to go up to the top rope in what is this position called, Holly?
Electric chair.
Fist bump.
Yay!
Fist bump. That deserved it.
I
That's
got
great.
it.
And they connect with...
No.
And they connect with...
No. I don't know.
That's right, the Doomsday Device.
Oh, bloody hell.
Animal goes for a cover, but is broken up by the anvil. Earl Hebner takes a clattering,
Obviously.
and now all 10 men begin a chaotic brawl. They put rule again, it doesn't like that.
Ooh.
Owen Hart finds his knee wrapped around the leg post by Stone Cold, and now he has a chair which he cracks into the joint.
Drink.
One overzealous fan tries to grab the chair, and it turns out it's Bruce Hart. Stone Cold rightly unloads with right hands before returning back to Owen just in the nick of time as Old Man Stu looked like he was about to remove his belt for the real arse whipping to begin. Although something happens with him later which makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The Hitman comes in from behind and knocks Austin into the ground. Brett screams that Owen is hurt and instructs Bulldog to drag him back to the Hart Foundation corner where he makes a tag. The crowd in full voice chant, Austin sucks, Austin sucks, as we see officials come down to help Owen back up the aisleway. 5-on-4. In the ring, the Anvil and Stone Cold engage in a Greco-Roman knuckle lock, which Austin quickly escapes with multiple kicks to the gut. Whip sends Austin to the ropes, and Anvil catches him before carrying him to the friendly corner where the Hearts commence a group beatdown. We see Owen limping his way backstage as he looks back remorsefully at the ring. Meanwhile, Stone Cold is firing off right hands at every member of the Foundation and drags Pillman, who you might recall was his former tag team partner in the Hollywood Blondes, into the ring via his hair. Handful of rights by Austin reveals Pillman's arse, and by Austin, and then he reveals Pillman's arse, and panic-stricken he runs towards Team USA, who all fire off with right hands. Middle finger salute to the loose cannon, who eats a Stone Cold stunner, but he rolls his way towards safety. As Austin tries to retrieve him, the Hitman trips him up from the floor and drags him to the ring post, and now it's Austin's turn to have his knee wrapped around the post.
Another drink.
But now Brett now ups the ante as he picks up a fire extinguisher and cracks Austin in the knee multiple times. And I don't know how you take that well, because that looks like it sucked. Excruciating figure 4 leg lock applied around the ring post, but Hawk is there to stomp on the Hitman and break it up. Stone Cold drags himself to the corner where he tags Hawk into the match, and he and Bulldog engage in a collar and elbow tie-up. Body slam from Hawk, who ascends to the top rope, but before he can take flight, Bulldog slaps his leg, causing him to crotch himself with a dick guillotine on the top rope. The officials are looking to assist Austin backstage, but the blue-eyed Texan is having none of it. After that was I've just had a lovely bite of chocolate noise. That.
Oh, don't say that, because I can't eat that.
Soon? When
soon
is it?
Enough. It's like still another 2 weeks.
Oh, well, that's not too long. You'll be fine. The officials are looking to assist Austin backstage, but after a 2 count, Bulldog tags the Anvil back into the match, and they drop Hawk with a double team clothesline. I take it back. Austin does appear to be leaving now. That blue-eyed Texan, you never know what he's going to do. Quick tag to Brett, but Hawk rolls away to tag in his partner. Apparently, we're ignoring the tag to the Hitman as the Anvil stays in the ring instead. Yeah. That confused me.
Yeah.
I had to rewind that and go, did I miss something?
Yeah, so he goes, no, not now.
Okay. But he comes in the ring and then it just isn't there. JR screams it's now 4-on-4, and Vince comments that the Hitman has evened things up for his team. Test of strength in the ring between the two big men of their respective teams. Animal appears to have the advantage as he drops Neidhart down to his knees, but the Anvil powers back up and kicks Animal into his corner where he tags in Brett. In a classic Hart Foundation spot, Anvil rests the Animal over his knee, allowing Brett to deliver a second rope elbow to the face. Holly, it has only just dawned on me that Bret Hart is the only living member of his team today.
Oh my God, yeah. Wow.
Pillman, dead. Anvil, dead. Owen Hart, dead. Bulldog, dead. Other side, Animal, dead. Hawk, dead.
Wow. God.
I think there's only, like I said, it was 4 people left, I think, all told, yeah. So it was Bret Hart, Goldust, Ken Shamrock, and Stone Cold. The only 4 people alive in this match still.
Jesus.
Only just dawned on me, I was like, that's quite harrowing, actually. Because it's not, if you look at the ages of these people, none of them should probably be dead yet. Really sad.
Yeah,
really sad.
Really sad.
The Hitman makes the cover, but only gets a count of 2. Right hands from Hart, who whips Animal but ducks too early and eats a kick, sending him down to the canvas. Back in is Ken Shamrock, who teases kicking the knees of the Hitman. Not entirely sure what the plan was here, but Pillman hits the ring and clotheslines the world's most dangerous man.
Yeah.
Now Brett, I think they did the spot too early. Now Brett has his legs and drives his head into the lower midsection of Shamrock. Face first into the buckles he goes, but he reverses the Hitman's whip and Brett hits the buckles hard sternum first. You're about to ask me something.
Yeah, there's a bit coming up they really don't understand.
Okay. I'll explain it because I think I know what it is.
Cool.
Big right hand drops Brett, and now we return to the same awkward position. We saw only moments ago where the Hitman is begging off and Shamrock is refusing to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
He allows the Hitman to get back to his feet and squares off as though he's about to throw hands. So you're thinking, why didn't he do anything?
Stands there.
Because Brett technically is the one that helped train Ken Shamrock in a lot of things for pro wrestling and brought Ken Shamrock into the WWF when he was the official for the match with Stone Cold.
So it's like a conflict of interest type thing.
So Shamrock is exactly that. He's conflicted because he's got connections to the Hearts.
Okay.
So that's why. Makes sense. You can see Brett going, hang on, let's not do this. Which is what obviously Ken thought was happening the first time, and then it very much wasn't. And I think Pillman just went, this is wrong, so I'm going to interfere.
Okay.
They lock up, but the Hitman quickly drives the knees to the midsection and runs Shamrock face first into the boot of the loose cannon before throwing him through the ropes to the outside. Pillman springs to life and runs Shamrock face first over to the Spanish commentary table. Hawk blindsides the loose cannon and begins standing on his neck with a guardrail for support. Animal smashes the Bulldog's face into the announce table as all hell begins to break loose. Hawk finds himself thrown into the ring stairs by Neidhart and Pillman whilst in the ring. Whilst in the ring, the Hitman connects with a side rush and leg sweep to Shamrock. The cover is broken up quickly by Goldust. Hawk jerks Pillman off the apron, and yes, that is how commentary called it, and connects with the right hand as Brett tags in Bulldog, who lands a flurry of right hands to the world's most dangerous small red pants. Shamrock wilts against the buckles under the barrage, which only fires Davey Boy up further as he now dishes out a series of stomps. The crowd have been absolutely fantastic throughout this main event and through the show in general, I
Yeah,
think, and they
really
deserve
good.
credit for that.
Really good.
With the ref not looking, Shamrock connects with a low blow and makes the tag to Goldust, who drops the Bulldog with a clothesline off a whip. Corner Whip sees Davey Boy stagger back out and get dropped with a running Bulldog. Goldust looks for the curtain call, but is prevented from doing so by Pillman.
Of course.
Such a little shit stare, isn't he? The Bizarre One heads to the top rope, but Bulldog cuts him off and just about connects with a superplex that had me concerned he would not make the full rotation, because his leg looked like it might catch on the top rope.
Yes.
At the count of 2, Hawk breaks up the pin. The cameras now show us the top of the R-Way, where Stone Cold is limping his way back down to the ring. Can't keep a good son of a bitch down.
Nope.
As of yet, still no sign of Owen Hart. Tag to Stone Cold, tag to Bret Hart, and the two bitter rivals begin exchanging stiff right hands, and that's always great, those two throwing hands at each other, I think.
Yeah.
Austin backs the Hitman into the corner and stomps away before flipping him off and whipping him into the opposite buckle, sternum first. Suplex by the future Rattlesnake, but it is only enough for a near fall. The way it's typoed, that is ridiculous. Suplex by the Führer Rattlesnake. But it is only enough for the Führer Rattlesnake is ridiculous. That is not a shirt. Whip sends Brett to the ropes, but Stone Cold ducks too early and eats a DDT. Backbreaker finds its home, as does the second rope forearm drop to the face, but it's only enough for 2. Sleep hold applied by the former WWF champion, but Austin breaks free with a jawbreaker, kind of a stunner but not quite, almost immediately. He drops his arm into a cover, but it is not enough for 3. Body slam attempt off a whip, but the Hitman slips out the back door and sweeps the leg of Austin. Sharpshooter applied, but Animal clotheslines Brett immediately to prevent a submission. Both men are down, but Austin is up first, and as he ties the legs looking for a sharpshooter of his own, he flips Brett off before turning him over in the hold. The cameras show us Owen Hart in full sprint with a hobbled knee, returning to the action, and he slides into the ring to club Austin and break the submission hold.
Hey, he's had 5 minutes rest. He's fine.
He's good. Yeah, the knee's fine now. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
The Hitman tags in his brother, who unloads with right hands, but he ducks too early off a whip, eats a kick and gets clotheslined over the top to the floor. In front of the Hart family, Austin buries kicks into the chest of Owen. When he returns into the ring, that dipshit Bruce Hart throws a cup at the back of the Texan, who in return snatches the patriarch of the Hart clan and pulls him to his feet, and that makes me feel uncomfortable, because Stu is frail.
Yeah, I didn't realise at this point, but when you see it later, I was like, oh my god, that poor man.
Because Austin did it
barely
obviously
stand
lightly
up.
enough, because if Austin pulled him up, he's going up whether he wants to or
Yeah.
not. So he did it, but he wasn't ready to stand up, and when you get to that age, you need to go, hang on. And he's like, ugh.
Bless him.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate. Poor Stu. He's far too old for this, and his children begin jumping the fence to get their hands on Austin. It must be slippy on those mats, though, as those that do get over the barricade all fall on their knees. The Hitman rolls Austin back in the ring, and with people's attention drawn towards the Hart brothers on the outside, Owen is able to get a schoolboy roll-up for the 1, 2, 3. Your winner of this match by pinfall, the Hart Foundation. The brawl very much continues, and this match appears to have settled nothing. I don't think I've put a score down for it. Oh, no, I have. Okay. The brawl very much continues, and this match appears to have settled nothing. With the additional Hart brothers in the ring, a sea of officials and members of security intervene to separate the men, looking to tear one another apart. There's something about Bruce Hart I just can't fucking stand.
Yeah, I know.
He's just
He's
like
got that aura about him.
he's like a little shithead who needs
Yeah.
to be involved in. Oh, you're not the main person in the story, dickhead.
Nope.
Like, sit down. Like, the other Hart brothers that did their bit, fine. I didn't notice them.
I know
But
what
I
you mean,
noticed
though.
him.
I don't know him at all, right?
Yeah.
But immediately just irritated me.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Because wants to be centre.
He does, and that is, by all accounts,
Right.
that is very much within his remit.
Oh.
So when he was booking Stampede, after his dad was no longer doing it and he set up the business again, who do you think was like the main champion that was defeating all these big 6-foot+ heels?
Not him.
5'9", Bruce Hart. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh no.
Yeah, 5'9". Just putting that out there. Yep. Cool.
Okay.
So there you go. As Vince calls it, this is nothing short of pandemonium.
Mm-hmm.
Security managed to shepherd Team USA, Shepherd's Pie, Team USA back up the aisle, leaving the Hart Foundation to celebrate their victory in the ring with their hometown fans.
Which goes on for 45 minutes.
However, whilst their backs are turned, in one of the most badass moves I've seen in some time, Austin has returned by himself with a steel chair. He cracks the anvil in the back and jumps on him to throw hands, paying no mind to the Rabid Foundation, who all descend upon him with punches and kicks. God bless you, Austin. That's such a fucking badass move. The officials return to pull the rattlesnake away as JR screams on commentary that Austin isn't afraid of anything or anybody. What a star this man is. Mm-hmm. And JR's always good at selling Austin as well. So good. There must be 12 men trying to drag Austin away, and it turns out they're handcuffing Stone Cold in the ring.
Yeah, why?
Why not? Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
I'm just curious.
Austin is thrashing around and kicking away at anything that moves. He's eventually moved out of the ring and escorted up the aisle, but he still takes the opportunity to bend over so he can flip the birds to the fans in Calgary. Excellent.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Now the celebrating can begin in earnest as 82-year-old Stu Hart enters the ring, and the poor bastard could not look more confused and lost if he tried.
Yeah.
The rest of the Harts now enter the ring, which includes future WWE stars Natalya and Davey Boy Jr., as well as her cousin Teddy Hart. We see a sweet moment of Owen Hart holding his son and then his daughter, which just reminds me how truly sad his loss is. There's a bit specifically where they're all in the other side of the ring, and he's just in the corner holding one of them, rubbing their back.
Sweet.
It's just a little moment for them. It was very nice. When all is said and done, the ring is full of between 20 to 30 people, and based on the crowd reaction, Calgary is most definitely Hart Foundation territory. As the celebration continues, the show comes to an end. Holly, what'd you score the match?
3.5. It was good. It just towards the end trailed off a little bit for me.
Yep.
And I think also, like, I'm not, again, it's not now I get, but I'm not that match's target audience.
True. You are neither Canadian nor American.
No, but I did like it. It was good, but it wasn't, like, I read all this stuff online about people saying it's a 5-star match, and for me personally, it's not, because the content in it, there's nothing in there that I would look at and go, oh my God, that's amazing.
No, I agree.
It's just a lot of big names. The atmosphere makes it better.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
If the crowd had been not as great, for me, this would have been a 2 point something.
I gave it 3.
Okay.
So that we did fall away from each other on the last match. I think the match had a good pace to it, a good flow to it. There was no point where I thought, I'm bored, let this end. But there, like you said, there's nothing stand out in it either.
There's a lot of kicks, a lot of stomps.
It did well at telling the story. The ending was fine because it was kind of still out of nowhere, so it wasn't like a team was beaten. And fair play to Austin for taking that loss. It's interesting though as well, because growing up at this time, I'd have been all about the Hearts. British Bulldog for a start, being on that team was a big win, and I love Bret Hart. Bret Hart was my guy growing up. So I never was fully Austin. I was Rock more than Austin. And that's not to say Austin wasn't phenomenal, because he was unbelievable.
That's like me saying I much prefer Austin over The Rock. It's just personal preference.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do prefer Austin over The Rock, though, to be fair. So I think you're in the majority, but I don't think there's a wrong answer necessarily between the two. I'm surprised that you said people called it 5-star matches, and that has to be due to the crowd. A lot of the things I'd read, I didn't bother writing any of them down because they weren't stories. It was just one of the best matches, and I was like, but it wasn't. It told a good story.
The theatrics of it, brilliant. But match content, there were matches before this that were far better. Don't
get me wrong, that, as you put it, the theatrical side of it can cover up a lot of sin. Yeah. Like, for example, Andre and Hogan at WrestleMania 3. Oh my God, awful. But the theatrics in there kind of carried it into a higher grading than it should have been. I think, obviously not to the same extent, but the same is applicable here. Was there anything awful in the match? That one misstep with Ken and Brett, Outside of that, no. Yeah. So, again, I don't feel like I've been harsh with 3 stars. I certainly don't think you've been harsh with 3.5. And I'd be very interested for someone who would score it 5 stars. Maybe Keith is one of those people.
I'd be interested to hear, I guess, actually.
To see exactly why they think it's that, because it's, at the end of the day, it's your opinion. You can say it's 5 stars, that's fine. Yeah. But just to see maybe what I might not have been taken into consideration potentially.
Just someone else's opinion, I suppose, is quite interesting. Then
absolutely.
Yeah.
And with that draws it to the end of the show. So what did you score the show as an overall piece?
7.5 out of 10. Yeah.
Decent.
Far better than the last one.
Yeah.
Again, the match contents for me were all good.
Yeah.
They were all good matches. The crowd made it brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. It was an easy watch.
Yeah, I go for 7 is my score on that. So really good show.
Yep.
There was nothing outstanding, I would say. There was good consistency in it, which I liked.
Mm-hmm.
At no point, like I said, was I clock watching. Even in the Vader Undertaker match, which I think most people would agree was the lesser of the 4 matches, I was not going, get this one done. It all seemed to flow well together. So that's why I landed on 7 as my score. But we're not, as always, we're not done there.
Oh, no,
we're not done there. We've got to go to the classic.
Yeah.
The people's favourite,
This
the
was
Rock's favourite,
really hard this time.
outfit of the night.
Yeah, this was a struggle.
How many candidates do you have?
2, 3, 4. There are 5 nominations.
Okay. In no particular order, Bret Hart,
Kind of.
the Hart Foundation,
As a
Okay.
collective, because they're all dressed the same apart from Bulldog and Pillman.
Legion of Doom,
No, actually.
Stone Cold won't be on there.
No.
I'm trying to think who else. Bruce Hart, I'm joking, fuck off. Undertaker,
Yes.
Vader.
No.
Okay, you don't like a jockstrap on the face, understood. Great Sasuke.
No, actually.
Oh, okay.
I
Right, who else you
know.
got?
It was really hard. I put Triple H in there as the nom because the
The robe
the
thing.
robe when
Yeah,
it comes
fine.
out, and also it's so hard knowing what's going to come. But once you're on the list, you're not coming off. So
Okay, good to know the rules.
Undertaker,
Mm-hmm.
because the gear he comes out with, and then he takes it off, and it's not just the boring
Yes.
t-shirt and leggings. It's now like a proper actual outfit, which I thought was good. Ridiculous, so ridiculous, but Goldust. But
I nearly said it and I
it's-
thought, no.
I hate it, but I can't not. Like,
Yeah,
I can't
okay,
not put it
fine.
on there. The collective of Jim, Owen, and Brett, all in their black and pink
Mm-hmm.
gear. And then I put, yes, it's just pants and some ruffles and armbands, but Bulldog for me. It's always a great look.
Okay.
Always a great look. This was really hard because there wasn't anyone that actually looked amazing.
Because you like the symmetry. I think you'll probably go Bulldog, but I think I'd go with the Hearts then as a collective, all tying up with their colours.
Do you know what? I actually went for Undertaker.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was a nice change, I think.
Yeah,
it was
fine.
To me, this is
To you.
him actually, like, becoming the Undertaker, if you know what I mean.
So from the initial phase to the Undertaker you're kind of more familiar with.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Because that used to be just, to me, like a baggy t-shirt and leggings, whereas now it
Yeah.
kind of is proper gear.
Yeah,
which I
fair
quite
enough.
liked.
Fair
So,
enough.
I think this is probably the only time he'll ever make it on the list.
I am genuinely shocked by that. But
Me too.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's always nice to be pleasantly surprised.
Isn't it?
We're also still
Oh,
not
no.
quite done. We're
Yeah.
not quite done. You've got to raw dog this and you've got to do these socials for people.
WinTwicePod@gmail.com, and then Instagram and YouTube is WinTwicePod.
So as this is clearly an evidence of that, you can email in to us, suggest shows, give your reasons for them. You can email in about shows we've covered. Like, so for example, other people who have heard this can say what they thought on the show, and
Yeah.
I'll read them out at the start of the next show. So that's not a problem. I always make sure I have a little check in the mailbox before we do a recording.
Yeah.
And yeah, on the socials, you guys have been supporting us well. I think Ollie,
Very good.
Ollie, I've given you a
Oh.
boy's name there.
Outrageous.
Holly could do with a little bit more love on the Instagram side of things.
Could I?
More engagement on there, yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
And for those who are listening on YouTube, please do like and subscribe because it helps us out a lot. That being said, Holly, I've had a lovely time.
Have you? Me too.
Well, I thought you were just going to say, I'm glad you have.
Oh, no.
No, I think it's been fantastic. Always
been
nice to
grand.
get one of these under the belt. And it was a good show as well, which makes
Yes,
it
it
an
was.
added bonus.
It was.
Well, hopefully everyone out there, you boys and girls, oldies, youngies, whatever, have enjoyed.
Youngies?
Yeah, I didn't like how I said that either.
Ooh, ick.
Oh, and I've completely thrown my rhythm off at the end of this show. But hopefully you've enjoyed what you've listened to, apart from me calling you youngies. Until the next one, take care.
Until next time, this has been a Win Twice Wrestling production. Peace out.